Chapter 804. While Xinghui was receiving Yun Zhongshan and Fengyu, Princess Longyu, who was brought here by Yu Qing's incarnation, was looking at the place where Xinghui was cultivating with a complicated expression. She was more or less grateful to the man who had saved her from the Taoist path and treated her with respect. However, even if there were times when she wanted to repay that man always looked like a gentleman. Other than occasionally asking her about her needs in life, he did not ask for anything else. This made it impossible for her to ask for certain things. Until now, Your Highness, I think we should take action and capture that person. When the time comes, he will naturally hand over his soul brand. At this moment, the people standing behind Princess Longyu were no longer the two maids that Xinghui had assigned to serve her. Instead, there were 4 people standing behind her. There were 2 men and 2 women who looked extraordinary and dignified. Long Ci is right. Even though Your Highness said that the man named Dongyang treated you very well and even exposed his identity to bring you here, he still refused to return Your Highness's soul brand to Your Highness. It's obvious that he has other thoughts in his heart. For someone who dares to have evil intentions towards Your Highness, we should kill him without mercy. Another old woman who looked to be in her 40s said with a fierce look in her eyes. Dragonthorn, Dragonscale, Fengyu, you guys keep saying that you want to kill, but don't forget that Your Highness's soul brand is still under his control. If he takes the opportunity to make trouble and use the soul brand to threaten us, won't we put Your Highness in danger? A slightly younger woman who looked to be in her 30s said coldly. She looked quite dissatisfied with them. Soul brand? That's because the Radiant King isn't here. As long as we can return to our world, we can ask the Radiant King to remove the soul brand. How can Your Highness be in danger? Besides, although we don't have the means to remove the soul brand, it's not difficult to suppress it for a period of time. As long as we can suppress the soul brand, we can capture that brat and torture him well. I don't believe he can resist the torture and not hand over the soul brand. Dragonthorn, who was the first to speak, had a cruel look in his eyes. At the same time, there was disdain for the cultivators of this world. Enough. At this time, Princess Longyu spoke with a trace of dissatisfaction in her voice. I'm very grateful that you guys came all the way from the Kun Dragon Great World to find me. However, young Master Dongyang saved me at a critical moment and has done me a great favor. I, Longyu, am not an ungrateful person. I must repay him well. After that, her gaze fell on the only woman who stood by her side and spoke for her. Feng Bing, I heard that the rebellion in the Empire has yet to be quelled. Other than the Radiant King, Rosy Cloud King, and Purple Jade King who support us, the remaining kings are all fighting for themselves, unwilling to submit to the rule of our royal family. But Your Highness, as long as Your Highness, as the only bloodline of the Emperor, as the only king's bloodline, as long as Your Highness, as the only the kings, as is the is, as the kings, as the s, thus, the s, and thus s thus. The to him, the to the to, as the king's king, as well this hui, s his to the to protect the king. This the s to's to the to s his. Will the Azure Dragon Sovereign really be able to quell the chaos in the Kun Dragon Great World if he appears? Of course. The Azure Dragon Sovereign is a great sacred beast of chaos. With his appearance, the so-called kings are nothing but clay chickens and pottery dogs. Dragonthorn said confidently. Princess Longyu glanced in the direction of Xinghui again. Very well. I'll go talk to young Master Dongyang. I believe that as long as he can ensure my safety, he'll be willing to let me leave safely. Your Highness, please hurry up. Calculating the time, in half a month, the Rosy Clouds King will once again open the World Rainbow Bridge and bring us back to the Kunlong world. If we miss this opportunity, I'm afraid we'll have to wait for decades for the next time. I understand. Princess Longyu nodded and walked toward Xinghui with a resolute expression. Yun Zhongshan, this is Mr. Yuqing who wants to see you. Bei Zhongzhen introduced. Greetings, Mr. Yuqing. Yun Zhongshan already knew the identity and extraordinary strength of this Mr. Yuqing. As soon as Bei Zhongjin finished speaking, he immediately bowed respectfully with his daughter. Tsing Hui Yuqing nodded. I'm here for the little girl of your Yun family. I need to take her away. You can make a request that I think is reasonable. Yun Zhongshan immediately said modestly, it's Yun Lian's honor that Mr. Yuqing has taken a fancy to her. You can take her away. There's no need to make any request. I'm not someone who will take advantage of you for nothing. Tsing Hui said, weighing the pros and cons, how about this? If your Yun family has any hostile forces that you can't deal with, I can help you deal with them. Of course, this must be within my ability. Otherwise, this condition is invalid. Helping the Yun family eliminate their hostile forces would not only solve the problem, but also gain some fruits of Tao. Why not? The strongest in the Yun family was only at the divine true body stage. How strong could their hostile forces be? Our Yun family. Yun Zhongshan hesitated for a moment, but at this moment, a wisp of mental power spread from Bei Liang's body. Although this wisp of mental power was extremely obscure, Tsing Hui, whose mental power had reached the 181st level, was able to detect it. After receiving Bei Liang's mental power message, Yun Zhongshan, who was originally hesitant, immediately said, some small forces naturally won't dare to offend our Yun family. After all, our Yun family is backed by the Crane Feather sect. In the Tsangshuan continent, many forces will give us face. However, the Wangguang city, a subordinate force of the Dragon Elephant sect, has been enemies with our Yun family for generations. Although the Wangguang city isn't strong, they still have 6 divine true body stage experts. They aren't a force that our Yun family can fight against, especially since they are backed by the Dragon Elephant sect. The Dragon Elephant sect. Tsing Hui searched through the information Zichen Yun gave him and soon understood what the Dragon Elephant sect was. It was a sect that was slightly smaller in scale compared to the Crane Feather sect, but it was equally famous in the Tsangshuan continent. In the entire Dragon Elephant sect, it was said that there were 16 reigning body stage experts. If one were to take into account that many sects would hide 1/3 of their experts, the Dragon Elephant sect should have more than 20 reigning body stage experts. It wasn't a small force. No wonder the Wangguang city dared to look down on the Yun family even though they were backed by the Crane Feather sect. After all, the Yun family was only a small force under the Crane Feather sect. The Crane Feather sect might not be willing to offend the Wangguang city, which was under the jurisdiction of the Dragon Elephant sect, for the sake of a small Yun family. Of course, there was also a possibility that this target was suggested by Bei Liang and the others. They wanted to use him to deal with the Dragon Elephant sect. Tsing Hui couldn't be bothered to think about it. If the Dragon Elephant sect didn't know what was good for them and wanted to deal with him, he could just spend some time to destroy the Dragon Elephant sect. Moreover, even the Crane Feather sect treated him with great care. He didn't think that the Dragon Elephant sect would be so ungrateful. It's a small matter. I'll go and destroy Wangguang city now. I'll take him away. If I find out that the Yun family still wants to interfere in the marriage between Yun Lian and my junior, don't blame me for being merciless. Mr. Yuqing, don't worry. If the Yun family really dares to go back on their words, let alone Mr. Yuqing, I, Bei Zhongjin, will be the first to not let them off. Bei Zhongjin stepped forward and said confidently. That's good. With that, Tsing Hui was about to leave with Yun Lian. Mr. Yuqing, why don't you rest in the Crane Feather sect first? We've already prepared a banquet. No need. Since I've promised the Yun family, I naturally have to do it well. If there's a chance in the future, I'll visit the Crane Feather sect again. When Bei Zhongjin heard that, he could only say regretfully, if that's the case, then we'll wait here for Mr. Yuqing's next visit. Tsing Hui nodded and left with Yun Lian. As for Yun Lian, even though she revealed a trace of reluctance to leave the clan, when she considered that she would soon have a peak expert who could suppress the traversing realm as her backer, she did not feel too much of a psychological burden about leaving the clan and going somewhere else. With Yun Lian, Tsing Hui flew at full speed and soon appeared in a city less than 30,000 kilometers away from the Crane Feather sect. Currently, the Flying Fish Sword Saint had accepted a mission from the sect and was assigned to oversee the situation in this city to prevent anyone from destroying the city and affecting the Crane Feather sect's rule over this city and the nearby territories. When he arrived in the sky above the city, Xinghui spread out his spiritual energy and quickly found the somewhat dispirited Flying Fish Sword Saint. He directly landed in the Flying Fish Sword Saint's mansion with Yun Lian. "Who's there?" Although the Flying Fish Sword Saint was somewhat dispirited, he still had his guard up. He immediately shouted when he sensed that someone had arrived. However, when he saw Yuqing Xinghui land with Yun Lian, he was slightly startled. "Lian, He wasn't the only one." Yun Lian, who had been brought here by Yuqing Xinghui, was also startled on the spot. "You? Alright, I've been entrusted by someone to bring this woman here for you. I hope you'll take care of yourself in the future," Yuqing Xinghui said faintly. At the same time, he said to Yun Lian, "This is the junior I mentioned. From now on, you're his person. If I find out that you dare to escape back to the Yun family, or that you're not giving me face, I'll uproot your entire Yun family. I believe that even the Crane Feather sect's Bei Zhongjin, Bei Liang, and the others will agree with my actions." Yun Lian saw with her own eyes how carefully the sect elder accompanied Xinghui. She was immediately scared into silence and hurriedly promised, "Please rest assured, senior. You and I are truly in love. From now on, I'll definitely treat him well." "I hope so. I don't want to have to make another trip because of such a small matter." Xinghui finished speaking and was about to leave. Seeing this, the Flying Fish Sword Saint hurriedly stepped forward. "Thank you, senior. Please pass on my message to our Grand Elder. I, Flying Fish, will always remember his kindness in my heart." Xinghui waved his hand. He was too lazy to care about such a small matter. He left the city and flew straight to Wangguang City at full speed. Since he had already agreed to help the Yun family, he naturally had to do it properly to prevent others from gossiping. In any case, given his current cultivation, identity, and status, as long as he wasn't targeted by a world boundary expert, he wouldn't have to worry about anything in the entire Tsangshuan continent. Chapter 805. Whoosh! Xinghui's figure rapidly shuttled through the void. During the shuttling process, he could clearly feel the power of laws flowing and changing as his body moved, resonating with the other laws around him. It was like a star orbiting in the vast starry sky. Even if it looked incomparably stable, in fact, it was constantly emitting a force of interaction. Once the balance was broken, the impact would be immeasurable. If one was not careful, it could even lead to the destruction of a part of the universe. Almost. Just a little more, Xinghui muttered to himself. Just a little more and he would be able to truly reach the level where he could affect and touch the laws. From then on, he would be able to possess his own Tao like a true divine beast. A Tao that was completely compatible with him and born for him. He had a premonition that once he reached that point, what would unfold in front of him would definitely be a brand new world. Wangguang City, I've arrived. While Xinghui was slightly distracted, he had already arrived in Wangguang City. With a sweep of his gaze, everything in Wangguang City was exposed to his vision. Xinghui's gaze paused for a moment at the Wan family's mansion. In this building that stretched for hundreds of kilometers, he used the aura examination technique to see the aura of a reigning realm expert. After pondering for a moment, Xinghui had already understood something. This reigning realm expert is most likely an expert from the Dragon Elephant sect. Just like how Cloud Mountain Grotto Heaven has a reigning realm expert overseeing it, Wangguang City is also one of the Dragon Elephant sect's gates to the outside world. If I don't have the aura examination technique and directly kill someone from Wangguang City, this reigning realm expert will definitely make a move. At that time, I'll naturally offend the Dragon Elephant sect. Thus, indirectly allowing the Crane Feather sect to realize their plan of killing me with a borrowed knife. Xinghui quickly understood the cause and effect of the entire matter. He immediately sneered, the Crane Feather sect has a good plan. If I kill a reigning realm expert from the Dragon Elephant sect, the Dragon Elephant sect naturally won't let it go. Perhaps I'll really become a sharp blade in their hand to suppress the Dragon Elephant sect. Although it's a bit unpleasant to be used by others, who asked me to lack Dao fruit. Even if this matter eventually spreads out, outsiders will at most think that I'm easy to use, but they won't treat me as someone who willfully slaughters the innocent and attack me. Thinking of this, Tsinghui acted as if he didn't sense the reigning realm expert. Yu Qing waved his hand, and then Tsinghui used the transformation technique to reveal the Kun Peng's body, and directly pounced towards Wangguang City. As soon as the Kun Peng's true body appeared, the defensive formation of Wangguang City was immediately activated. A 16th-order divine formation overflowed with flowing light, enveloping the entire city. However, this level of formation was naturally successful in intercepting a divine true body expert. Even ordinary reigning realm experts would find it troublesome. However, for Tsinghui, whose comprehension of laws had reached the realm of one thought and had the talent of the Kun Peng, it was not worth mentioning. Relying on the Kun Peng's flexible use of the spatial laws, he directly entered the Wangguang City's Wangclan mansion. Then, he stretched out his hand, and the buildings within more than 10 kilometers of the Wangclan mansion's main residence seemed to be imprisoned by an invisible hand, and then lifted into the air. Heavens, it's the Kun Peng. The divine beast Kun Peng, a 17th-order divine beast Kun Peng. Why would such a terrifying divine beast suddenly appear in our Wangguang City? It's over, it's over. The appearance of the divine beast Kun Peng caused the defensive formation of Wangguang City to automatically counterattack. At the same time, it also caused many cultivators in Wangguang City to cry out in despair. And amidst the desperate cries, there was also a furious rebuke, "Evil creature, how dare you behave so atrociously in my human territory? If you leave now, I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, your flesh and blood will all stay here today and become materials for our cultivation." The one who roared was the reigning realm elder who obviously belonged to the Dragon Elephant sect. That's Elder Wudong. Elder Wudong is actually in our Wangguang City. We're saved. Elder Wudong is one of the elders of the Dragon Elephant sect. As long as he can hold on for a moment and ask for help from the Dragon Elephant sect, the experts of the Dragon Elephant sect will quickly rush over and repel this divine beast. When the desperate people of Wangguang City saw the appearance of this elder, they immediately cried out as if they had been saved from death's door. The divine beast Kun Peng that Tsinghui had transformed into deliberately paused, but after a moment, it pretended to receive a new signal and tore down again. The power of the void confinement included the reigning realm elder as well. Bastard! This is the territory of my Dragon Elephant sect, you can't be so presumptuous. The old man called Elder Wudong let out a furious roar, and his body suddenly expanded, turning into a towering giant that was at least 800 meters tall. The biggest difference between the divine true body realm and the reigning realm was that the reigning realm expert had already refined all the forms of the divine beasts and fused them into his body. Moreover, he could make himself the size of an ordinary person. However, if a reigning realm expert really used all his strength to fight, he would still reveal his body that was close to the divine true body. Moreover, in terms of size, this form was rarely less than 500 meters. The larger the body, the more powerful the accumulation. Usually, the limit of the reigning realm was between 900 and 99 meters. This Elder Wudong's true body had expanded to 800 meters, and he could be considered one of the best in the reigning realm. Rumble. Elder Wudong, who had revealed his true body, threw out a punch. A terrifying power erupted from his hand, crazily attacking the spatial confinement formed by the divine beast Kun Peng. For a moment, the space within a radius of several kilometers shattered like a mirror. The vitality and living beings in this area were all swallowed by darkness and nothingness the moment the mirror shattered. Buzz! Feeling that the spatial confinement power seemed to have loosened, the huge divine beast Kun Peng pressed down again. For a moment, the shattered mirror-like void confinement was rapidly repaired, and even the space where Elder Wudong was at was no exception. Seeing this, Elder Wudong let out a low roar and the restored space around him shattered again. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he shuttled through the shattered space and was about to escape from the confinement of the divine beast Kuanpeng. However, the divine beast Kuanpeng seemed to be somewhat dissatisfied that it had not taken down the reigning realm elder after 2 consecutive attacks. While controlling the void confinement to the Wan clan, it used its other sharp claw to grab at Elder Wudong's true body. Not good. Get out of my way. Elder Wudong's breath was like thunder as he threw out a punch. The void confinement shattered like a mirror in front of him. Unfortunately, it was useless. The divine beast Kuanpeng was not afraid of the spatial collapse power at all. It withstood Elder Wudong's punch and ruthlessly clawed at him, shattering his fist force. The Kuanpeng's remaining momentum did not diminish as it grabbed Elder Wudong's 800-meter-tall true body and tore it apart. 100-meter-long true body of Elder Wudong's true body was torn apart. Dragon Elephant Sect, what arrogance! Those who don't know would think that you have already ruled the Tsangshuan continent. At this moment, Jade Qing Su's figure appeared and spoke in an indifferent voice. You. A trace of anger flashed in Elder Wudong's eyes when he saw Tsinghui. Just as he was about to reprimand him, he seemed to have thought of something in the next second. His expression abruptly changed as he glanced at the divine beast Kuanpeng that was wreaking havoc. You are Yuqing. That's right, it's me. Yuqing. Tsinghui swept a glance over the Wan clan's people he had captured. I have been entrusted with this task. I need to take these people away. If you want to stop me, you can try. The Wan clan's people are members of my Dragon Elephant sect. If you want to capture them, aren't you looking down on my Dragon Elephant sect too much? You can ask your Dragon Elephant sect's people to come and kill me. Yuqing. Tsinghui said. Then, the divine beast Kuanpeng suddenly exerted its strength. The Wan clan's people were captured by the divine beast Kuanpeng and quickly flew towards the horizon. Elder Wudong wanted to stop Tsinghui and the divine beast Kuanpeng, but after a moment of hesitation, he didn't do anything. Seeing this result, Tsinghui couldn't help but feel a little regretful. It seemed. The fact that he could control a divine beast and that his Yuqing incarnation was unfathomable left a deep impression on others. Even with the Dragon Elephant sect's backing, Elder Wudong didn't dare to make a move against him. However, when he thought about it, it made sense. A divine beast Kuanpeng was equivalent to the battle strength of 10 Zongheng realm experts, and the person who could control the Kuanpeng, even if he was only on par with the divine beast Kuanpeng, was equivalent to 10 Zongheng realm experts. Although the Dragon Elephant sect was not weak, it was only about the same battle strength as the Yuqing's incarnation. If they really fought with the Yuqing's incarnation with all their strength, the entire Dragon Elephant sect would be killed if they were not careful. Sure enough, if I want to collect Dao fruits, I still have to place my hopes on the Void battlefield. Unfortunately, the True Martial Empire, Scarlet Sun Empire, and Flame River Empire are currently in a tense situation. Peak realm cultivators with a single thought have swarmed into the Void battlefield to confront each other. Currently, there are more than 80 realm cultivators with a single thought in the Void battlefield. If I don't have a reasonable identity and rashly barge into the battlefield, it's very likely that I'll be targeted by a peak realm cultivator with a single thought. It'll be troublesome then. Although Tsinghui believed that it wouldn't be difficult for him to save his life in front of a realm cultivator with a single thought, if he really did so, he would undoubtedly expose his identity as the Son of Chaos. As for a Son of Chaos with a transformation technique, he would probably attract the attention of everyone in the True Sun Great World. After all, even in the Divine Wilderness Great World, where the production of Dao Aura was extremely high, the highest level of chaos was only 44th level. Apart from those rulers who monopolized all the resources of a great world, or even the peak giants whose power radiated across several worlds, very few people could raise their chaos level to 44th level or above. After capturing the Wan family members alive and leaving, Tsinghui took some time to use the blooming flower to instantly refine several divine true body experts of the Wan family. As for the remaining members of the Wan family, he didn't kill them all. After all, he didn't have any deep enmity with the Wan family. After doing this, he no longer wandered outside and went straight to his marquee residence in the True Martial Empire. Chapter 806. Tsing Hui's incarnation in the Marquis estate had limited divine abilities, so he didn't immediately notice the 4 reigning realm experts in the Marquis estate. However, when Tsing Hui returned to the Marquis estate, he immediately felt the abnormality. After a moment, he seemed to have thought of something and glanced in the direction of Princess Long Yu. As expected, my aura examination technique is correct. Princess Long Yu's fate shows 2 paths. The first is to become a plaything of the world, and the second is to rise day by day and reach the horizon. Due to my intervention, her fate is clearly developing in a good direction. Now, her luck has already begun to rise, and it won't be long before she soars into the sky and becomes an existence that people look up to. Tsing Hui was somewhat looking forward to this change. In these years, his attitude towards Princess Long Yu could be said to be excellent, as if he was willing to do anything she wanted. Moreover, he had also subtly strengthened Princess Long Yu's good impression of him. He believed that if Princess Long Yu soared into the sky, he would definitely benefit. Now, after so many years of investment, it was finally time to reap the benefits. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui returned to the Marquis estate and immediately announced the end of his seclusion. From the incarnation he left here, he learned that Princess Long Yu had come to find him 10 days ago and 3 days ago, as if she had something to discuss with him. However, at that time, he was out and announced that he was in seclusion, so Princess Long Yu had never seen him. Tsing Hui guessed that what Princess Long Yu wanted to talk about should be related to the reigning realm experts that appeared. It's true that Princess Long Yu is grateful to me, but the same can't be said for the 4 reigning realm experts who came to pick her up. In order to prevent them from underestimating me and thinking that they can send me away with something, I'll have to use my identity as Yu Qing. Thinking of this, Tsing Hui once again separated Yu Qing's incarnation and let him appear in his estate openly. In any case, even though Yu Qing's incarnation had not reached the level of world creation with a single thought, any almighty world creation with a single thought would not dare to underestimate it. Using it to intimidate cultivators below world creation with a single thought was absolutely easy. Tsing Hui pretended to chat with his Yu Qing incarnation in the study. Not long later, Zichen Yun arrived outside the study. When he saw Yu Qing chatting with Tsing Hui in the study room, his pupils suddenly shrank. Mr. Yu Qing, it was clear that as the steward that the Zichen family had specially assigned to Tsing Hui, Zichen Yun was much more knowledgeable than Tuoba Changkong. He had already recognized the true identity of Yu Qing's incarnation with a single glance. Mr. Yu Qing is my honored guest. Tsing Hui smiled. Yu Qing was one of the top experts in the reigning realm. In addition, he had a 17th grade Kuanpeng as his subordinate. His battle prowess was so strong that there were very few people in the reigning realm who could match him. Not long ago, he had captured and killed a group of outer members of the Dragon Elephant sect in the Tsengshuan Continent's Wangguang city. However, the dozen or so reigning realm experts in the Dragon Elephant sect did not dare to act rashly. From this, one could see how great his influence was. His young master was able to get acquainted with such a peak reigning realm expert, and their relationship seemed to be extremely good. His future was limitless. Thinking of this, Zichen Yun's smile couldn't help but become even more sincere. Greetings, Mr. Yu Qing. It is our greatest honor that Mr. Yu Qing has come to our place as a guest. No need to be so courteous. I came this time because the divine sword he asked me to refine has finally been successfully refined. I specially came to deliver it to him, Yu Qing said with a smile. His tone was calm, and he seemed to treat the Zichen family with indifference. He had the demeanor of a peak expert. Oh. Young Master Gang actually has such good fortune to be able to obtain a divine weapon refined by Mr. Yu Qing. Alright, Steward Yun. Don't ask too much about this. Did you come this time for something? It's not a big deal. It's just that Miss Long Yu wants to see young master. She said that she has something important to discuss with you. But young master, you have an important guest here right now, so I'll turn her away, that's fine. Mr. Yu Qing isn't an outsider. Tsing Hui said plainly. Seeing this intimate attitude, Zichen Yun was inwardly excited. If his young master was truly able to obtain the full support of a peak reigning realm expert like Mr. Yuqing, in addition to his identity as the son of the Zichen family head, and the shocking talent he had shown over the years, he would definitely be able to inherit the Zichen family and become the head of the Zichen family. No one would be able to stop him. Go and invite Miss Longyu in. Xing Hui said. Yes. Zichen Yun replied respectfully, then quickly left. Not long later, Princess Longyu had already arrived at the study under Zichen Yun's lead. Seeing Xing Hui, Princess Longyu's face revealed a hint of joy. Young Master Zichen, she understood that Xing Hui appeared in this manner as Zichen Gang. Miss Longyu, you're here. I heard that you were looking for me. May I know what's the matter? Xing Hui asked. There is indeed an important matter that I need to explain to young Master Zichen. As she spoke, she glanced at Yuqing's incarnation. After a moment of hesitation, she asked, Can I speak with young Master Zichen alone? Oh. This Mr. Yuqing has saved my life several times. He is definitely trustworthy. However, if you insist, then let's go somewhere else first. Princess Longyu thought for a moment. Even she, who didn't know much about the outside world, had heard of Yuqing's name. When she thought about the relationship between the two, she still said, Then, Mr. Yuqing, please help us consider this matter. She took a moment to organize her words, then slowly said, Not long ago, I realized that I am not the Reverenced Dragon Great Emperor's biological daughter. The main reason why he cares so much about me is because I have another identity. I am a member of the Kun Dragon Great World's imperial family. Kun Dragon Great World? Although Xing Hui had guessed that Princess Longyu's origin might be related to the great power outside of the true Sun Great World based on the strength of her luck, he still couldn't help but be shocked when he heard her say it herself. What world is this? I don't know much about the Kun Dragon Great World. After all, I was stranded in the true Sun Great World when I was very young. However, according to the people who came to find me, the Kun Dragon Great World was the strongest world in a star region. The Supreme King of our Kun Dragon Great World, the ancestor of my bloodline, the Lord of Kun Ruins, was a supreme ruler who cultivated the Origin Sacred Body. Origin Sacred Body. Supreme Ruler. A transformation of the second level of the Primal Chaos Realm? Xing Hui couldn't help but ask when he heard this. This should be. Since the ancestor was able to tame the Great Azure Dragon Supreme and make him, who is in the Primal Chaos Realm, guard our imperial family for generations, his cultivation level should be above the Azure Dragon Supreme. Princess Longyu couldn't give an accurate answer. Continue. Xing Hui nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Yes, our Kun Dragon Great World was originally ruled and controlled by the Kun Dragon Empire. However, thousands of years ago, when the Great Lord of Kun Ruins went out to participate in the War of the Three Realms, he suddenly disappeared. At that time, only the Azure Dragon Supreme, who left with the ancestor, returned to the Kun Dragon Great World alive. After the Azure Dragon Supreme landed in the Kun Dragon Great World, he immediately entered the ancestral land and fell into a deep sleep. As a result, there were rumors that the ancestor had fallen and the Azure Dragon Supreme was about to die. Then, a large-scale rebellion broke out and swept across the entire Kun Dragon Great World. In that dangerous environment, I was taken away from the Kun Dragon Great World by the Reverenced Dragon Great Emperor and wandered into the true Sun Great World. Then now you. After thousands of years of recuperation, the Great Azure Dragon Supreme has awakened. Although he hasn't recovered to his peak state, he has no problem suppressing the situation. However, in the thousands of years of rebellion, our imperial family's bloodline has been wiped out by the rebel kings. I am the only one left who still maintains the pure imperial bloodline. Although the Azure Dragon Supreme has the power to suppress the situation, he doesn't know which king he should trust and which side he should side with. Under such circumstances, only when I return to the Kun Dragon Great World and meet the Azure Dragon Supreme can I ask for his help to stabilize the situation of the Kun Dragon Great World. The Lord of Kun Ruins, the Azure Dragon Supreme. Princess Longyu's background. It was very frightening. The only bloodline descendant of a sovereign. Furthermore, she could command a primal chaos realm sovereign. Are you leaving? Xing Hui pretended to reveal a hint of reluctance in his eyes. Princess Longyu looked at Xing Hui. All these years, during her most dangerous and downtrodden times, it was all thanks to Xing Hui's help that she was saved from her tragic predicament. Then, he treated her with sincerity, causing her to develop feelings of attachment to him. Now, when she saw Xing Hui's expression, she couldn't help but blurt out, "Young Master Zichen. How about you come with me to the Kun Dragon Great World? I left the Kun Dragon Great World when I was very young. Even though the tokens they took out proved their identities to me, I still can't completely trust them. After experiencing so many life-or-death situations, the only one I truly trust is you, young Master Zichen. I'll go to the Kun Dragon Great World as well." Xing Hui pretended to hesitate for a moment. "I do want to accompany you to the Kun Dragon Great World to ensure your safety, but... Young Master Zichen, don't worry. If I can return to the Kun Dragon Great World, I will be able to obtain the protection of the Azure Dragon Supreme. Furthermore, under the protection of the Azure Dragon Supreme, I will ascend to the throne of the Kun Dragon Empire. When that time comes, I will definitely let you live a better life than in the true martial empire." When Princess Longyu said that, she couldn't help but step forward and hold Xing Hui's hand emotionally. "You. Come with me. Only with you can I truly go to the Kun Dragon Great World with peace of mind." Xing Hui looked at Princess Longyu, who was clearly showing her true feelings, and couldn't help but mutter to himself. From the looks of it, the effects of the hypnotic effect of a spiritual level of 181 is very obvious. Judging from Princess Longyu's dependence on me, it seems like all the effort I spent over the years was not in vain. But now, after nearly 10 years of hard work, it was finally time to reap the rewards. Chapter 807. I do have the intention to go with you, but I want to know if I can still return when the time comes. Xing Hui did not forget that he still had more than a year to return to the Divine Wilderness World. It should be possible. The Rosy Cloud's king can use her supreme artifact to open the world passage from the Kun Dragon World to the True Sun World. This is how the envoys came. We will soon go to the Kun Dragon World and will also need to borrow the power of the supreme artifact of the Rosy Cloud's king. Speaking of this, Princess Longyu stared at Xing Hui with her big watery eyes and said with a trace of pleading, "Young master, please come with me. I know you are collecting profound desolate chi, so not long ago, I specially asked the envoys on the pretext of repaying you. According to the envoys, there should be a lot of profound desolate chi preserved in the royal family. When the time comes, I will give you all these things. Everything useful to your cultivation, I will give you all, profound desolate chi, and a lot of it." Xing Hui's breath was slightly stifled. If there really was a lot of profound desolate chi, it would not be difficult for his physique to reach the 17th order as soon as possible. At that time, the power of the 49 Great Diffraction Sword chi would be enough to contend with those powerhouses who did not have a strong foundation. For the sake of the profound desolate chi, or perhaps because of Princess Longyu's pitiful eyes, Xing Hui seemed to have finally made up his mind and nodded heavily. "Okay, I will go with you. However, I want to bring Mr. Yuqing with me. After all, the Kun Dragon World is a completely unfamiliar world. If I go alone, even if I encounter any danger, I may not be able to help you much. However, it is different if I bring Mr. Yuqing. You should have heard of Mr. Yuqing's strength. Mr. Yuqing." Princess Longyu was a little surprised, as if she was surprised that Xing Hui could make the decision for Yuqing. "You should know that I obtained a swordsmanship from the ancient cave abode. In fact, apart from that swordsmanship, I also saved Mr. Yuqing who was sealed in the cave abode. In order to repay me for saving his life, Mr. Yuqing promised to protect me for 10,000 years, so." Yuqing's incarnation nodded in agreement. "That's right. If Dong Yang hadn't saved me, I don't know how long I would have to suffer in that darkness and loneliness. Because of this, I will do my best to repay Dong Yang for saving my life in these 10,000 years. It's great that Mr. Yuqing is willing to go with us. There's no time to lose. I'll tell the good news to Long Xi, Long Lin, Feng Yu, and Feng Bing. Princess Longyu said impatiently. Xing Hui nodded. The three of them headed towards Long Xi, Long Lin, Feng Yu, and Feng Bing's rooms. When Xing Hui and the others saw the four Freely Realm experts, there was a faint arrogance in their eyes. It seemed that they had a mental advantage over the cultivators who came from a world like True Sun Great World. However, when they heard that Princess Longyu planned to take Xing Hui with her and wanted to repay him, their expressions changed at the same time. Among them, Long Xi, who was more impatient, immediately said, "Your Highness, what's the use of them following us to the Kunlong Great World? They will only cause trouble. Just let them continue to stay in True Sun Great World. I heard from Her Highness that you are collecting mysterious desolate chi. I will make the decision. When the time comes, I will give you 4, no, 5, or even 6 strands of profound wasteland chi as a reward for taking care of the princess all these years. However, you better not go too far. Don't think about taking advantage of the favor." Feng Yu said. Long Lin also nodded his head, and said with a cold expression, "In reality, you did not spend anything on Her Highness the Princess. Since Feng Yu is willing to give you 4 or 5 strands of profound wasteland chi, you should be content. If you are too greedy and eat unsightly, be careful of your teeth breaking. Who knows what the situation in the Kunlong Great World is like? How can I believe that Longyu will be safe and sound after following you to the Kunlong Great World? What if the 4 of you are here to cheat and have evil intentions? If I let Longyu go with you without checking, wouldn't that be sending her to the tiger's den? Therefore, I must follow her and protect her until she feels that she is safe and doesn't need me anymore." Xing Hui stepped forward and said with certainty. However, despite his resolute expression, he was looking forward to the mysterious desolate chi in Long Lin's mouth. A reigning realm envoy actually dared to promise 4 or 5 strands of profound desolation energy. The amount of profound desolation energy collected by the Kun Dragon Empire's imperial family was unimaginable. For the sake of this profound desolation energy, he had to make a trip to the Kun Dragon world. You want to protect Her Highness? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? Feng Yu sneered. Feng Yu, don't be rude to the princess. Apologize to young master. Princess Longyu was dissatisfied when she heard Feng Yu's mocking words. Your Highness. I'm telling the truth. Seeing your attitude towards Longyu, I'm even more worried. After Xing Hui finished speaking, he turned to Princess Longyu and said, "Didn't you say that as long as you go to the Kunlong Great World, you can become the Empress of the Kunlong Great World? But in my opinion, these 4 people don't have the slightest respect for you, the future Empress. Just now, when you ordered them to apologize to me, they actually dared to refute. And in my impression of an emperor, if the emperor wants his subjects to die, they have no choice but to die. They obviously can't do this at all. I can't help but suspect that this matter might really be a scam." You're talking nonsense. Feng Yu rebuked angrily, then quickly turned to Princess Longyu and knelt on one knee. "Your Highness, this subordinate definitely doesn't have the slightest intention of disobeying Your Highness's orders. It's just that this person isn't a member of our Kunlong Empire at all. Furthermore, he wants to repay our kindness with a greedy and disgusting face. I couldn't stand it, so I reprimanded him. For Your Highness's safety, even if Your Highness wants us to die, we won't hesitate." Princess Longyu's temperament was a bit soft. What's more, she had grown up with the Chonglong Great Emperor. In her heart, every reigning realm expert had a lot of weight. Although she was a bit dissatisfied with Feng Yu's tone, she couldn't help but panic when she saw Feng Yu, a reigning realm expert, kneel in front of her. She hurriedly said, "Feng Yu, get up first. I believe you. However, young Master Zichin is my savior. If you really treat me as your princess, then when you treat him, you have to treat him like a savior. Otherwise, don't blame me for not leaving with you. Don't. If we can't bring Her Highness back, the Radiant King and the other kings won't let us off easily, Your Highness." Dragon Scale glanced at Xing Hui unwillingly. In the end, he said, "If Your Highness really wants to take them with you, then we'll agree." "Yes, Yes, yes. Your Highness, you can bring whoever you want with you. As long as you obtain the approval of the Azure Dragon Sovereign and become the Emperor of the Kun Dragon Empire, the entire Kun Dragon world will belong to you. No one in the trillions of living beings in the Kun Dragon world will dare to disobey your orders. Dragon Thorn quickly followed. When Princess Longyu saw the 4 emissaries concede, she sighed in relief. Very well. Let's rest for a while. When the Rainbow King opens the passage between the 2 realms, we'll head straight for the Kun Dragon Great Realm. Yes, Your Highness. Dragon Thorn, Fengyu, Dragon Scale, and Feng Bing respectfully replied. Before long, Princess Longyu prepared her luggage and left. On the other hand, Xing Hui temporarily left the courtyard on the grounds that he needed to make some preparations. When he left the courtyard, Dragon Scale and Feng Bing continued to protect Princess Longyu, while Dragon Thorn and Feng Yu quietly followed. When they were some distance away from Princess Longyu, they stopped Xing Hui and Yu Qing. Boy, don't push your luck. Don't you want the mysterious desolate chi? I happen to have one in my hand. I'll give it to you first. As for the rest of the promised mysterious desolate chi, we'll bring it to you the next time we pass by the True Sun Great Realm. After you've received the benefits, you'll have to go to the princess and tell her that you don't want to leave the True Sun Great Realm. Otherwise, when you go to the Kun Dragon Great Realm, you won't be able to get any benefits. Instead, you'll lose your life in the Kun Dragon Great Realm. Feng Yu took out a strand of mysterious desolate chi and threw it at Xing Hui with a look of disgust. After you've received the benefits, go find the princess and explain it clearly. Mysterious desolate chi. Xing Hui didn't care about Feng Yu's disdainful attitude at all. He kept the strand of mysterious desolate chi without hesitation. Then, he turned to the 2 of them and said, I'll take this strand of mysterious desolate chi first. I still have to go to the Kun Dragon Great Realm. As for whether my life will be in danger in the Kun Dragon Great Realm, you don't have to worry about it. As long as I stay by Longyu's side, I believe she'll guarantee my safety. Xing Hui's words immediately made Feng Yu furious. You really want to force me to repay you? Why? Is it not enough for you to take my mysterious desolate chi? You want more good things. Aren't you afraid that you'll die? It's my business whether I die or not. Feng Yu was about to say something, but Dragon Scale stretched out his hand and stopped her. Can't you see? If this boy doesn't use this opportunity to extort a huge sum from Her Highness, he won't be willing to leave. Let's go. Go. But that strand of mysterious desolate chi just now. So what if he took it away? When the time comes, we'll have a way to make him spit it out. Dragon Scale said indifferently. At the same time, he sent a mental message. Currently, Her Highness's spiritual brand is still in his hands. Even though we have a way to suppress it, if we're not careful, it's easy for problems to arise. Let's wait until we return to the Kun Dragon world and ask the Radiant King to remove the brand from Her Highness's body. When the time comes, there will naturally be a few kings who will personally deal with this ignorant boy. Extorting our Kun Dragon Empire? He doesn't have the right. When Feng Yu heard this, although she was somewhat unwilling, for the sake of Her Highness's safety, she could only swallow her anger and endure. Then, she glared fiercely at Xing Hui and sneered, if you're really not afraid of death, feel free to follow us to the Kun Dragon world in 3 days. When we reach the Kun Dragon world, I hope that you'll be able to maintain this attitude. Is that so? Let's wait and see. Xing Hui said indifferently. Chapter 808. I'll head to the Kun Dragon world in 3 days. It seems that the trip there won't be simple. Xing Hui muttered to himself in his room. He could see that Dragon Thorn and the others were extremely hostile to him. When he arrived at the Kun Dragon world, they would definitely come up with all kinds of tricks. If he did not make sufficient preparations, he would definitely be dealt with miserably by Dragon Thorn and the others with the help of the forces behind them. According to Princess Longyu, the Kun Dragon world had a ruler and 8 supreme masters in its heyday. However, the ruler seemed to have responded to the summons and went to the border battlefield to fight against the forces under the command of the Master of Time and the Master of Gods. In the end, only the Azure Dragon Supreme came back. The others have either died or their fates are unknown. Now, the ones in charge of the Kun Dragon world are the remaining 24 kings and 108 Grand Dukes. Oh, after the rebellion, 4 kings and 13 Grand Dukes have died. Now, there are only 20 kings and 95 Grand Dukes left. Xing Hui summarized the information he had obtained from Princess Long Yu in his mind. There were 2 types of kings in the Kun Dragon world. One was the king of the Kun Dragon world who was born in the imperial family, while the other was the outstanding king of the Kun Dragon world who had made great contributions to the empire. Each of these kings had expanded their small world to more than 20,000 kilometers. As for the Grand Dukes, they also had the cultivation of world creation with a thought. However, most of them were at the initial stage of world creation with a thought and had barely stabilized their own worlds. Some had begun to expand their worlds, but the extent of expansion was limited. The strength of world creation with a thought is quite obvious. An expert of world creation with a thought with a diameter of 30,000 to 40,000 kilometers can easily deal with 10 experts at the initial stage of world creation with a thought. As for some experts at the initial stage of world creation with a thought, they can be exhausted to death by dozens of experts at the realm of world creation with a thought in a battle formation. Xing Hui estimated that if his physique could really break through to the 17th level, even if he did not transform into the divine beast Kuan Peng, he would be able to kill a top expert at the initial stage of world creation with a thought with just the 49 Great Expansion Sword Chi. If he could transform into the divine beast Kuan Peng, except for those who had expanded the world to the extreme and reached the level above Lord Huifeng, no one could do anything to him within the time range of the transformation technique. Looks like I have to get my hands on those strands of profound desolate chi as soon as possible. My life potential has long been stimulated by the dragonization fruit to the point of transforming into a divine beast. If it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to maintain my human form and was unwilling to transform into a divine beast, I would already have the life essence of a divine beast. Although my life essence hasn't reached the level of a divine beast yet, I reckon that it's equivalent to an existence on the level of the 6 saints. With this potential and the profound desolate chi, there's a great chance that my physique will rise to the 17th level. Xing Hui secretly planned. In the end, he couldn't help but glance at the Fortune Jade. During this period of time, the Fortune Jade had been deducing a great Tao that was completely compatible with him. The accumulated Taoist rhyme over the years was being consumed like water. However, after so many days, the great Tao that completely belonged to him was still not deduced. He was still lacking a bit of opportunity from the crucial step of the qualitative change of his life. He shook his head. He was already a bit disappointed with the Fortune Jade. It seems like he still had to work hard on the profound desolate chi if he wanted to completely control his own fate. Xing Hui used 3 days to briefly refine the profound desolate chi he obtained from the phoenix feather. At the same time, he told Zichenlai that he had touched the opportunity to condense the divine true body, and that he planned to go into seclusion for 100 years. Zichenlai was very happy when he heard this news. Not only did he get 50,000 spiritual marrow, which was worth 50 Taoist rhymes, from the Zichen family, there were also many other treasures that were very useful for condensing the divine true body. The total value of everything was close to 80 Taoist rhymes. Even if the purchase price was 80 Taoist rhymes, and the selling price was around 60 Taoist rhymes, it was still a shocking amount of wealth. The true Sun Great World was different from the Divine Wilderness Great World. The Divine Wilderness Great World had an extremely high amount of Taoist rhymes. As long as anyone was lucky enough, they could obtain Taoist rhymes. However, almost all of the Taoist rhymes in the true Sun Great World were monopolized by the upper echelons. Even if they could plunder a large amount of Taoist rhymes through the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion in the Divine Wilderness Great World, it was only for the 3 Primal Chaos Supremes of the true Sun Great World. Below the 3 Primal Chaos Supremes, the others could only barely get some scraps. Now that Xing Hui said that he wanted to condense the divine true body, Zichenlai took out so many resources in one go. One of the reasons was his outstanding performance in the Void battleground, and the other reason, Xinghui guessed, should be related to the appearance of Yu Qing's incarnation. After all, this was a terrifying expert that was equivalent to half of the Zichen family. On the third day, under Dragon Thorn's lead, the group arrived at a mountain wilderness nearly 10,000 kilometers away from the capital of the True Wu Empire. In the end, the True Wu Empire was a colossus with primal chaos supremes. Even though the Kun Dragon Great World had once given birth to a ruler, and even now had the Azure Dragon sovereign, it had declined in the end. As a result, even though they had a psychological advantage over the True Sun Great World, they still had to act cautiously in reality. Dragon Thorn led the group to a platform that was clearly formed by manpower. He stood at the center of the platform and said, "All right, let's wait here for the Rainbow King to open the Rainbow Bridge to take us to the Kun Dragon Great World." Princess Long Yu nodded, but still stood beside Xinghui. Ever since she mustered the courage to hold Xinghui's hand 3 days ago, the relationship between the two seemed to have improved by leaps and bounds. Or perhaps it was because she was worried and insecure about the unfamiliar world that she was about to go to, but she became even more dependent on Xinghui, who she had always trusted. Even now, she was standing beside Xinghui, still holding his hand, unwilling to let go easily. The two of them looked like a couple. When Dragon Thorn, Dragon Scale, and the others saw this scene, they naturally felt hatred in their hearts. They even made up their minds that when they arrived at the Kun Dragon Great World, they would definitely make him understand the price of a toad wanting to eat a swan's meat. Buzz buzz. Just as the atmosphere at the scene was oppressive and carried with it the smell of fire, the void above their heads suddenly distorted. Rays of rainbow light instantly dissipated from the void. As the space distorted and changed, Xinghui clearly felt many powerful divine senses sweeping over, enveloping Xinghui and the others. In just a moment, they seemed to have received some kind of message. Soon, the divine senses retreated like the tide. Although the True Sun Great World's one-thought realm mighty is not bad, after knowing that this is our Kun Dragon Great World, they naturally don't have the guts to interfere. Dragon Thorn said faintly, with a hint of arrogance in his tone. Clearly, he had also sensed the probing of the spiritual sense of the world creation stage. Xinghui glanced at Dragon Thorn with a half-smile. Although the Kun Dragon Great World was not bad a few thousand years ago, it is obviously going downhill now. If the other worlds really understand the Kun Dragon Great World's weakness, it is completely unknown whether they will gang up and attack us. Short-sighted, the Kun Dragon Great World's strength is not something you can imagine. Our Kun Dragon Great World is on the list of the Great Master of Chaos conscription list. We are responding to the Great Master of Chaos conscription to go to the front line to fight. Before the war ends, whoever dares to provoke our Kun Dragon Great World is equivalent to offending the Master of Chaos Majesty. If someone really dares to do so, even a mighty one who is only one step away from complete transformation can only die, let alone a sovereign or a sovereign. Mighty One, Xinghui felt that this title was vaguely familiar. It seemed like, there was also such a cultivation class in the Immortal Dao civilization. In the Immortal Dao civilization, those true golden immortals who had jumped out of the 3 realms and were not bound by the 5 elements were called great divinities. He did not know the difference between the great divinities in the Immortal Dao civilization and the great divinities in this cultivation system. As he thought about that, Qing Su said provocatively in a probing manner, the organizations under the Lord of Chaos obviously wouldn't dare, but the organizations under the Lord of Gods and the Lord of Time who have snuck in might not necessarily do the same. Moreover, according to what I know, there are still organizations left behind from the immortal civilizations. Once the experts under the Master of Gods and the Master of Time enter the Master of Chaos range of influence, their strength will plummet, just like when we entered their territories. As for those little bugs from the Immortal Dao civilization, unless they have a perfected golden immortal in person, no matter how many perfected immortals and Tai immortals they send, they won't be enough for us to kill. As for perfected golden immortals, there aren't many of them left in the Immortal Dao civilization. I don't believe they have the guts to enter the chaotic divine realm and destroy our Kun Dragon Great World. I hope you can maintain this confidence. Dragonthorn looked at Xing Hui and said maliciously, "You keep mentioning the Master of Time, the Master of Gods, and the immortal Tao civilization. You're not a hidden pawn of these three factions, are you?" Xing Hui snorted. "Why don't you try? Master Yuqing just gave me a shape-shifting sword not long ago. I'm still waiting to see its power." Yuqing, Dragonthorn and the others had secretly investigated this person over the past 3 days. When they learned that Yuqing could control a 17th level Kunpeng, a trace of fear appeared in their eyes. "Don't be so presumptuous, Dragonthorn." Princess Longyu saw the two arguing again and scolded Dragonthorn without allowing any explanation. For a moment, Dragonthorn could only reply sullenly, "Yes, Your Highness." "Alright, the Rainbow Bridge is about to stabilize. Everyone, get ready." Feng Bing mediated from the side. No one said anything else. In the void, as the spatial ripples continued to expand, the seven-colored light gradually condensed into substance. When this substance reached a critical point, a mighty seven-colored energy suddenly shot down from the void, enveloping Princess Longyu, Xing Hui, Yuqing's clone, Dragonthorn, Dragonscale, and the others. In the next moment, the rainbow light shrunk and disappeared into the clouds. The 7 people who were enveloped by the rainbow light were instantly taken away by the rainbow light and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 809. This was the second time Xing Hui had been teleported from one world to another. However, compared to the teleportation from the Divine Wilderness Great World to the True Sun Great World, the journey to the Kun Dragon Great World was undoubtedly much longer. Of course, this so-called distance was only for the distance between the Divine Wilderness Great World and the True Sun Great World. In fact, compared to the hundreds of millions of worlds in the vast starry sky, the Kunlong Great World and the True Sun Great World were also very close. The relationship between the three was like the Earth and the Moon, or the Earth and Jupiter. Under the teleportation of the World Rainbow Bridge, the surrounding brilliance suddenly dissipated. The next moment, Xing Hui's group of 7 appeared in the center of a glorious and resplendent palace filled with a solemn atmosphere. At this time, there were thousands of people in the main hall. What was shocking was that among these thousands of people, there was not a single one whose cultivation was below the divine true body realm. Most of them exuded an aura that had reached the unhindered realm, especially the 3 figures in the center of the main hall, 1 man and 2 women. The aura they exuded could be described as vast as an abyss. Xing Hui could tell at a glance that any one of these 3 people could suppress the Dragon Sparrow King, the Black Dragon King, and the Thunder Knight King. In particular, the man in the lead had an aura that was slightly stronger than that of the Fire Burning King, whom he had seen with his own eyes. In addition to these 3 people, there were 14 other figures below, each of them exuding a similarly vast and magnificent aura. However, because many of them could not perfectly control their own energy fluctuations, they faintly exuded a terrifying pressure. This pressure was so strong that any cultivator below the divine true body realm would be seriously injured if they were to face it head-on. Xing Hui estimated that these should be the 14 Grand Dukes who governed the various lands of the Kun Dragon Great World. The geographical environment of the Kun Dragon Great World was somewhat similar to that of the Divine Wilderness Great World. In the center was a large continent with a diameter of 30 million kilometers, followed by many scattered seas, continents, and islands. They were spread across the 400 million kilometer wide Kun Dragon Great World. The imperial family monopolized the central Kun Dragon continent, while the large continents were under the jurisdiction of the 24 kings and 108 Grand Dukes. With the arrival of the 7 people, everyone in the hall looked at them. Under the gazes of these people, Princess Longyu, who had only recently cultivated to the profound void realm, was so scared that her pretty face turned pale. She couldn't help but lean against Xing Hui. With a thought, Xing Hui released a trace of the divine true body's aura to protect Princess Longyu. At this time, the kings, Grand Dukes, and the upper echelons of the empire realized that their loss of manners had offended Princess Longyu. The man in the lead waved his hand, and a gentle energy sprinkled down in the form of light. Soon, it enveloped an area of 1,000 meters with Princess Longyu as the center. For a moment, the pressure disappeared. Under the illumination of the light, Tsing-Hui even faintly felt that his physique, spirit, and vitality had increased slightly. Is this the princess? At the side, a woman dressed in a purple dress with a graceful and luxurious aura stepped forward slightly and sized up Princess Longyu. Replying to Your Highness Purple Jade King, according to the reaction of the bloodline crystal, Princess Longyu is the bloodline of the imperial family. Dragonthorn hurriedly stepped forward and respectfully replied. Oh. As the Purple Jade King spoke, he turned his gaze to one of the Grand Dukes and said, Duke Garrison, please verify it. The Duke Garrison was one of the few Grand Dukes who had stabilized a small world. Hearing the Purple Jade King's words, he nodded and then said to Princess Longyu, Your Highness, in order to verify the authenticity of your identity, please allow this old subject to offend you. After speaking, he flicked his hand. Along with Princess Longyu's cry of surprise, a drop of blood flew from her hand and landed in the Duke Garrison's hand. The wound on Princess Longyu's hand was covered by the light and instantly healed. It was as if the trace of pain she felt earlier was just an illusion. After obtaining Princess Longyu's blood, the Duke Garrison quickly took out a disc array and activated it. Then, he poured the drop of blood into the disc array. As the disc array erupted with a brilliant light that shot into the sky, Tsing-Hui, who had been maintaining the aura examination technique, keenly sensed that the luck of the entire Kun Dragon Great World seemed to be rapidly changing. At the same time, a dense luck began to support Princess Longyu. In less than a moment, her luck, which could be said to be blazing, skyrocketed once again. Moreover, it didn't retract in the slightest and continued to grow until it broke through the horizon. It's the imperial bloodline. The Duke Garrison seemed to have sensed the changes in the luck of the entire world through some kind of secret technique. He immediately confirmed Princess Longyu's bloodline and took the lead to bow to Princess Longyu. This old subject greets Your Highness. The others followed suit and bowed. Greetings, Your Highness. Even the three kings sitting at the top of the hall nodded slightly to express their respect for the imperial family. For the first time, Princess Longyu was greeted by so many important figures. For a moment, she was a little flustered. However, she was the princess of the Chonglong Empire after all. After panicking for a moment, she quickly calmed down and waved her hand to everyone present. Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. Your Highness's identity has been confirmed. Next, we should think of a way to escort Your Highness to the Imperial Mausoleum Dragon Vein. As long as Your Highness goes down to the Imperial Mausoleum Dragon Vein and asks the Azure Dragon Sovereign to fulfill the original agreement, it will be easy to sweep away these rebellious kings. Among the three kings, Rosy Cloud's king, who was in charge of escorting the group from the True Sun Great World, said. Rosy Dawn King was wearing a rainbow-colored robe. She looked to be only 16 years old. She was like a rosy fairy, beautiful beyond compare. In front of her, even Princess Longyu was like a firefly before the bright moon, overshadowed by her. Currently, the Imperial Mausoleum Dragon Vein is occupied by the most powerful rebel king, Thunder Punishment King. With Evil Execution King and Demon Buster King's assistance, we might not be able to enter the Imperial Mausoleum Dragon Vein with our strength. However, things are different now. We have already welcomed Your Highness. As long as we can bring Your Highness to find the neutral Heavenly Sword King and obtain his help, with his strength as the #1 king, we will definitely be able to tear apart the seal that Thunder Punishment King, Evil Execution King, Demon Buster King and the others have on the Imperial Mausoleum Dragon Vein. Let's bring Your Highness to the Imperial Mausoleum Dragon Vein, Radiant King, the only man among the three kings and also the one with the highest cultivation, said calmly. Heavenly Sword King is the #1 expert among us 24 kings. If he is willing to help us, Thunder Punishment King and the other rebel kings are not worth mentioning. As Violet Jade King said that, he stood up and said, there's no time to lose. I think we should bring Your Highness to the Heavenly Sword Plateau where the Heavenly Sword King resides right now. That's right. The sooner the better, just in case something unexpected happens. The Radiant King nodded slightly. If the Radiant King leaves the Great Radiant Saint Hall, everyone will probably sense the abnormality immediately. As a result, you shouldn't act recklessly. In my opinion, the Violet Jade King and I should bring Princess Longyu to see the Heavenly Sword King. The two of us can conceal the presences we give off when we move through worlds, so we'll be able to move more stealthily. It'll be much safer there. Rosy Cloud's King said. That's a good idea. After a moment of thought, the Grand Duke said, then I'll have to trouble the Violet Jade King and Rosy Cloud's King. Your Highness, let's go. As the Rosy Cloud's King said that, she looked at Xing Hui who stood beside her. In particular, she frowned slightly when she saw how the two of them stuck together. This person, Your Highness, this person is called Dong Yang. When Your Highness was in trouble, she received his assistance. However, when I learned that he needed Profound Desolation Qi, I gave him a strand of Profound Desolation Qi as compensation. I even promised to give him 4 more strands of Profound Desolation Qi as compensation. However, he used the excuse that he was worried about Your Highness leaving the True Sun world alone and followed Your Highness to our Kun Dragon world with this person called Yu Qing. I wonder what his intentions are. Feng Yu was the first to step forward and report with ill intentions. Her words immediately aroused the dissatisfaction of everyone in the hall. For a moment, everyone looked at Xing Hui with a frown. It's not like that. It's just that I don't dare to come to this completely unfamiliar world alone. Although I was born in this world, I've been away for too long. My memories of this world have long been blurred. That's why I asked young Master Dong Yang to come with me. In addition, young Master Dong Yang has saved my life. After rescuing me from Qiu Dao, he also took good care of me and didn't let me suffer the slightest grievance. I've always wanted to find an opportunity to repay young Master Dong Yang. Princess Longyu quickly stepped forward and defended Xing Hui. The Rosy Cloud's King glanced at Xing Hui and then at Princess Longyu. She said faintly, I understand. Don't worry. Now that Your Highness has the two of us to protect her, she'll naturally be safe and sound. You don't have to worry about what happens next. Is your name Dong Yang? Since you need Profound Desolate Qi, the Radiant King, Violet Jade King, and I have collected some over the years. There are about 5 or 6 strands in total. Take it as your reward for saving Her Highness. Xing Hui fell silent for a moment and pretended to be a little disappointed. The reason I followed Miss Longyu here is because I was worried about her safety. That's why I asked Mr. Yu Qing to escort her. Now that I see so many powerhouses here and how much importance they place on her, I'm relieved. At least you know your place. Rosy Clouds, bring young Master Dong Yang and Mr. Yu Qing down first. Rosy Cloud's King said faintly. Yes, Your Highness. A woman in a colorful dress immediately stepped forward from the crowd. She extended her hand towards Qing Su, young Master Dong Yang and Mr. Yu Qing, please come with me. Chapter 8:10. Young Master Dong Yang, Princess Longyu clearly didn't want to be separated from Xing Hui. Just as she was about to say something, Caixia King spoke again, Your Highness, we're going to seek the help of Heavenly Sword Sovereign. If everything goes well, there's no harm. But if there's an unforeseen event, the enemies we'll have to face will at least be at the pinnacle of world creation realm. Do you think a divine true body realm cultivator and a traversal realm cultivator can help in a battle of this level? I'm afraid the aftermath of the collision between the worlds of 2 world creation realm cultivators is enough to crush his true body. If you forcibly bring him along, you'll only end up harming him. It's better to let him stay here first. It won't be too late for you to think of a way to repay him for saving your life after we've settled the matter. Qing Su had followed Princess Longyu here for a lot of resources. However, although his relationship with Princess Longyu allowed him to enjoy a lot of convenience, before Princess Longyu obtained the recognition and help of the Azure Dragon Sovereign, her words obviously didn't have much weight. He could only rely on Rosy Cloud King, Purple Jade King, and Radiant King. Under such circumstances, in order to avoid incurring the disgust of these kings, he had to try his best to be tactful. He smiled and nodded to Princess Longyu, I'll stay here first. Don't worry, I'm fine. You guys go and settle the matter first. Princess Longyu listened to Xing Hui's persuasion. Seeing that he didn't seem to be angry, and coupled with Cai King's previous words, she reluctantly nodded, all right then. Young Master Dongyang, wait for us here for a while. We'll be back soon. If everything goes well, it shouldn't take much time. Go, I'm waiting for the day you obtain the recognition of Azure Dragon Sovereign and ascend to the throne as the Empress. Xing Hui smiled. Princess Long Yu nodded vigorously at Xing Hui, young Master Dongyang, wait for me. After saying that, she turned to Cai King and Purple Jade King, Your Highnesses, let's go. Cai King glanced at Qing Su again and secretly frowned. Just as she was about to say something, the Radiant King's voice rang out in her ears. Her Majesty Long Yu has been taken care of by this man called Dongyang, so it makes sense that she's dependent on him and has a good impression of him. As we express our attitude, with so many world creation experts protecting her, her sense of insecurity will quickly disperse. When that time comes, her reliance on him will naturally disperse. As for that hazy good impression. Hee hee. Do you think our young elites are inferior to this man from the true sun world? Cai King nodded in agreement, then, let's slowly resolve this matter. Yes, the most important thing now is to bring Princess Long Yu to Sky Sword Mountain Range as soon as possible to obtain the support of Sky Sword Sovereign. Then, we'll borrow his strength to tear apart the blockade formed by the rebel kings in the Imperial Mausoleum's Dragon Vein and meet the Azure Dragon Sovereign. As long as Princess Long Yu can meet the Azure Dragon Sovereign, those so-called rebel forces will be defeated in a single blow. At that time, us kings who have always stood by Her Highness' side at critical moments will become the greatest contributors to the empire. Even if she opens the imperial treasury and allows us to enjoy the supreme treasures inside, it's not an extravagant hope. The imperial treasury. Cai King's eyes flashed with anticipation. What was the purpose of these kings running all over the place for Princess Long Yu's arrival? Loyalty was a part of it, but the most important thing was the supreme treasures in the imperial treasury. If they could obtain those supreme treasures, not to mention continuing to expand their small worlds to the limit, even taking a step forward and stepping into the primal chaos realm wouldn't be an extravagant hope. There's no time to lose. I'll take my leave now. As for this man named Dongyang, you should also keep him under control. Otherwise, Her Royal Highness will have a bad impression of us because of what he did when she was still in power. Don't worry, although the dark desolate aura is precious and rare, none of us have tamed a beast, so its value is limited. Since he protected Princess Long Yu and allowed our plan to go smoothly, there's nothing wrong with giving him a few strands of dark desolate aura as a reward. Radiant King said. That's good. After saying that, Cai King and Purple Jade King left together with the reluctant Princess Long Yu. The woman called Yun Xia led the way, bringing Xing Hui and Yu Qing to the side hall where the guests were staying. When they arrived at the side hall, Yun Xia left right away. Xing Hui stayed in the side hall and didn't go out. The next day, Yun Xia went to Xing Hui's palace again and handed a storage treasure that contained a space inside to Xing Hui. There are 6 strands of dark desolate aura inside. Take it as a reward for saving Her Highness and taking care of her for several years. 6 strands of dark desolate aura. Xing Hui took the strands of dark desolate aura. With the life potential that had been stimulated to the extreme by the dragonization fruit, the 6 strands of dark desolate aura, in addition to the previous strand, were enough to transform his body again. There was a high chance that he could reach the 17th level. You've already accepted it. Even if the kings and dukes didn't say it, I still have to remind Your Excellency Dongyang that there are some people you can't reach. Now that you've received enough benefits, you should know when to stop. Otherwise, when the time comes, you'll go for wool and come home shorn. Yun Xia looked at Xing Hui and said indifferently, that's all I have to say. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. I'll think about it. Xing Hui said. You should really think about it. Yun Xia seemed to be a little dissatisfied with his vague answer. She snorted and turned to leave. Xing Hui looked at Yun Xia with a playful smile. Then, he quickly returned to the cultivation room with the 6 strands of dark desolate aura. After activating the isolation formation of the cultivation room, he didn't hesitate to take out one strand of dark desolate aura and refine it. As the strands of dark desolate aura were refined into his body, his physical strength began to grow under the nourishment of the dark desolate aura. Over the years, he had refined too many dragonization fruits. If it were another expert who cultivated the bloodline of the divine beasts, his life essence would have already broken through to the level of a divine beast. Xing Hui wanted to walk a path that completely belonged to him and didn't rely on the 12 divine beasts. That was why he had been stuck at the peak of the divine beast's life essence and couldn't transform. Although his life essence couldn't transform, his body's potential had been developed and strengthened time and time again. He had already reached the level of a divine beast. Now, under the nourishment and refinement of the dark desolate aura, he was constantly strengthening and growing at an extremely fast speed. When he refined the 5th strand of dark desolate aura that Yun Xia sent over on the 6th day, his body began to transform from the inside to the outside. Each of his cells faintly formed an independent space that contained vast and mighty energy. Once it was drawn out, it would be like a small universe erupting, filled with immeasurable power. According to this trend, when I reach the 18th level, can each of my cells really form a small world or small space with a diameter of 1 or 2 centimeters? Countless spaces, countless worlds, finally forming a small universe. I've never heard of such a transformation happening in the body of an 18th level divine beast. As far as I know, the strength of an 18th level divine beast is only based on their use of the Great Tao. Relying on the Great Tao's endless supply of energy and their tyrannical bodies, it's the same as having an inexhaustible small world. This is why they have a great advantage when dealing with single-thought realm experts whose small worlds haven't yet stabilized, or have just stabilized and haven't had time to expand them. However, when facing those peak experts who have expanded their small worlds to the extreme, they are inferior. After all, although single-thought realm experts who have expanded their small worlds to the extreme can't compare to divine beasts in terms of endurance, the amount of energy they can burst out in an instant is above divine beasts. Xing Hui's eyes had a trace of astonishment. At the same time, he was somewhat looking forward to the next transformation in his body. If the cells in his body could really transform into small worlds, and then countless worlds formed a small universe, just the thought of it was terrifying. It should be known that a person's body usually had 40 to 60 trillion cells. Even if a cell's diameter was only 1 centimeter, 40 to 60 trillion cells could still make the total amount of energy in his body far surpass that of a single-thought realm expert. Next, I'll have to refine the 49 Great Derivation Sword Qi again. My body's strength has reached the 17th level, and the Great Derivation Sword Qi formed is equivalent to 49 traversal realm experts attacking at the same time. Coupled with the effects of the formation, it won't be difficult to exhaust those single-thought realm experts whose small worlds haven't stabilized. Even if I face those who have stabilized their small worlds, the outcome will only be determined after the battle and after seeing each other's techniques. Xing Hui thought to himself. Unknowingly, his cultivation had almost caught up to the divine beast Kunpeng that he could transform into with his transformation technique. It should be known that although the 18th level divine beast Kunpeng was impressive, because he didn't possess the various innate talents of a divine beast Kunpeng, his battle strength was actually on par with the likes of King Huofeng. He was probably even inferior to the Radiant King, let alone the number 1 king of the Kun Dragon Great World, the Celestial Sword King. In other words, the divine beast Kunpeng he transformed into was at best a small level stronger than his own 49 Great Derivation Sword Qi, and his battle strength was roughly twice as strong. However, this small level required a series of techniques such as the Chaos Technique, the Divine Saint Technique, and the Backtracking Technique. There was even a time limit to it. On average, the transformation technique began to gradually become dispensable after the Divine Saint Technique. Xing Hui estimated that for the sovereigns and those with great divine abilities above the sovereigns, the special characteristics bestowed by the chaos technique would at best increase their battle strength by 20 to 30%. It was already in a state where it was tasteless, but it was a pity to throw it away. As expected, continuing to increase the chaos technique's level isn't a wise choice. The additional Taoist rhymes in the Fortune Jade will allow them to continue deriving great Tao laws that are suitable for me. Xing Hui muttered to himself. At the same time, he scanned the fortune jade in his spiritual world with his mind. Rumble. Just as Xing Hui was paying attention to the fortune jade, a deafening roar suddenly sounded from far away outside the great radiant temple. Accompanying it was a towering and vast illusory world. Radiant King, you actually dared to let an evildoer impersonate the royal bloodline and plot against the royal treasury. Your crime is punishable by death. Today, I, the Thunder Punishment King, will take action and completely kill you, a person with evil intentions, as well as the fake royal family member you elected, so that you can face the truth. Chapter 8:11. The Thunder Punishment King. The Thunder Punishment King has actually come. Uncontrollable cries rang out from outside Xing Hui's residence. At the same time, a vast, lofty world rose up, colliding with the world projection in the blink of an eye. It supported the sky above the Great Radiant Saint Hall so that the Great Radiant Saint Hall would not be destroyed by the Thunder Punishment King's world. The Thunder Punishment King. Xing Hui could no longer continue cultivating. With a flash, he had already appeared outside the hall. Activating the aura observation technique, he looked into the void and saw two worlds colliding violently in the void tens of thousands of kilometers away. At the point of collision, pitch-black ripples spread out in all directions. Countless spatial storms swept out from the ripples and swept across the area. If any cultivator below the void-shattering realm were to step into the area right now, they would definitely be shredded to pieces by the spatial storms. The Radiant King's world is around 30,000 kilometers. However, his world is slightly more stable than the Fire Punishment King's world. The Fire Punishment King's world is a little overconfident. However, the Thunder Punishment King's world is close to 40,000 kilometers, and the stability of his world is no less than the Radiant King's. The Radiant King is at a disadvantage. No wonder they thought they could face the Thunder Punishment King in a direct confrontation and were unable to tear through the line of defense the Thunder Punishment King and the others had set up in the Royal Mausoleum Mountains. They had no choice but to ask the mysterious and powerful Heavenly Sword King for help. Xing Hui used the aura examination technique to determine the strength of the two people very soon. Fortunately, although the Radiant King was slightly weaker than the Thunder Punishment King, the Radiant Saint Hall was their headquarters after all. Apart from the Radiant King, there were still 14 world creation experts, including the Duke guarding Duke. Although these 14 world creation experts were even weaker, they were still like meteors that streaked across the vast cosmos when they cast out their worlds. They struck the Thunder Punishment King's world viciously, immediately causing the Thunder Punishment King's world to shake violently. Large amounts of world fragments shattered during the collision. Some of the heavenly resources that the Thunder Punishment King had collected in his world were mixed in. Some of these treasures of heaven and earth were scattered on the battlefield, while some were swept into the depths of the void by the surrounding space turbulence after the space was shattered. One day, they would fall back to the Kunlong world due to the change of space. If an immortal-level cultivator was lucky enough to obtain them, it would definitely allow him to advance by leaps and bounds in an extremely short period of time and cultivate into a divine being, thus creating a legend in the local area. Radiant King, do you only know how to bully others with numbers? Ha, let me see just what you're capable of. When the worlds of the 14 world creation experts collided with the Thunder Punishment King's world like meteors, a loud laugh rang out from space once again. Afterwards, several worlds appeared at the same time. Among these worlds, there was a majestic world at the very front. Just this world alone was close to 30,000 kilometers in size. It was only slightly smaller than the Fire Punishment King's world. Aside from that, there were 5 stable worlds with diameters of over 10,000 kilometers. When the 6 of them appeared, they actually blocked most of the attacks from the 14 dukes. Evil Slayer King. Duke Qianlong, Duke Wei, Duke Rong, Duke Qi Yuan, Duke Songda. As Xing Hui stared at the worlds in space, a group of people not far away from him exclaimed. Even the Evil Slayer King is here. The Thunder Punishment King, Radiant King, and Evil Slayer King are among the top 10 world creation experts in the Kun Dragon Great World. The Thunder Punishment King, in particular, is ranked in the top 3. He's second only to the Heavenly Sword King who lives in the Sky Sword Plateau and the Godly Might King who guards the royal treasury and never leaves. The 2 of them and the 5 dukes. Without the Purple Jade King and the Rainbow King, we might not be able to resist them. I'm most worried about Her Highness now. According to the Thunder Punishment King, Her Highness has most likely been exposed. Right now, the Demon Buster King who's with the Thunder Punishment King and Evil Slayer King has yet to appear. Could he be? That's impossible. A Demon Buster King can't possibly be a match for the Purple Jade King and the Rainbow King. Her Highness will definitely be fine. The crowd continued to discuss, but there was a trace of worry in everyone's tone. At this moment, the Radiant King who was fighting the Thunder Punishment King seemed to receive some news. His face immediately changed. I never thought you'd actually convince the Longevity King and get him to join you. As he said that, he had already sent a message to the Grand Duke in a hurry. Grand Duke, the Thunder Punishment King and Evil Slayer King are here to keep us busy. I've just received news from the Purple Jade King. They've been stopped by the Longevity King and the Demon Buster King less than 300,000 kilometers away from our Great Radiant Saint Hall. Take people to reinforce them quickly. We can't let Her Highness end up in their hands. Once they control Her Highness, we'll definitely be doomed. Yes, sir. The Grand Duke replied and began to mobilize the troops very soon. Aside from peak experts who could create a world with a thought, the Great Radiant Saint Hall had many transversal experts. When 100 of them formed a battle formation, the battle prowess they could erupt with might not be any weaker than a world with a thought expert. Under the Grand Duke's orders, 400-man battle formations formed from transversal experts quickly. Under the lead of the Grand Duke and another Grand Duke, they quickly shot off 300,000 kilometers away. During this period of time, the Thunder Punishment King naturally wanted to stop him. However, the Radiant King himself was the 5th strongest of the Kunlong Great World's 10-1 Thought World Realm experts. He was not much weaker than the Thunder Punishment King. In addition, he also had the assistance of the 12 Grand Dukes. They did their best to stop the Thunder Punishment King. A battle of this level, Xinghui watched the world with a thought experts clashing in the air as he became slightly stern. The Kun Dragon world truly lived up to its name as a world that had once given birth to a ruler. Its heritage was far greater than the true Sun world. The Radiant King and the Thunder Punishment King only represented the Kun Dragon Empire after the war, but their battle prowess was enough to overwhelm even in the spatial battlefield. In particular, the Radiant King and the Thunder Punishment King would definitely be supreme existences among world with a thought experts in the true Sun world. There were very few people in the true Sun world who could rival them. However, the 2 of them could not be regarded as peak experts in the Kun Dragon world. Above them were the Celestial Sword King and the God Might King. After understanding this, Xinghui immediately calmed down. He had just broken through to Class 17 and possessed the mentality to contend against world with a thought experts. Compared to the chaotic Divine Dominion, which was a world forest filled with dangers, his current cultivation base was clearly far inferior. In the air, the battle between the Thunder Punishment King and the Radiant King continued. In less than half a day, the 2 kings seemed to receive some news at the same time. Their faces changed at the same time. For Sea Kings, how dare you? You actually dare to intercept the person I want. Do you think you can bring that woman to see the Azure Dragon Sovereign alive? Dream on. Damn it, there are actually people who have designs on Her Highness the Princess. The 2 peak experts immediately stopped their meaningless battle. After gathering their forces, they quickly left, following the direction of the Duke Garrison and the others. This Princess Longyu is really popular. Xinghui sensed something from the changes in the 2 kings. The Radiant King wanted to send Princess Longyu to the Imperial Mausoleum mountain range and push her onto the throne of the Empress. When the time came, he would borrow the might of the Empress to sweep away those rebel kings. However, the other kings were not stupid either. Naturally, they were not willing to sit and wait for death. Ambitious people like the Thunder Punishment King naturally wanted to eliminate Princess Longyu in order to maintain their rule. As for the four sea kings, they had the same idea as the Radiant King. They wanted to be the subjects of the Radiant King. Moreover, they weren't willing to share such a great achievement with the Radiant King. Rosy Clouds. Xing called out to Rosy Clouds outside the side hall. Your Excellency Dong Yang, is there something you need? Rosy Clouds said indifferently. I want to know the current situation of the Kunlong world. Thunder Punishment King, Radiant King, and the four sea kings. Aside from these people, are there any other kings or powers? Rosy Cloud's face turned cold. There is no need for your Excellency Dong Yang to worry about this kind of thing. Their Highnesses will naturally take care of it. Hehe, you don't want to say. You must know that even though you people don't like me very much, I still have a lot of weight in Princess Long Yu's heart. If I tell Princess Long Yu that you are openly complying with me, and even making things difficult for me, and then borrow Princess Long Yu's mouth to complain to King Caixia, how do you think King Caixia will deal with you? Hearing Xing Hui's threat, Rosy Cloud's face changed. After a while, she restrained the anger in her heart and said in a deep voice, what do you want to ask? But what I know is also limited. I don't have the qualifications to know some of the deeper things. Don't worry, I won't force you. Just tell me what the current situation of the Kunlong world is. Xing Hui said calmly. Rosy Clouds was silent for a moment, as if she was organizing her words. After a while, she said, in fact, there is nothing much to say. It's just that the kings and dukes have their own troops and are doing their own thing. Generally speaking, the ones who can be said to be powerful are the Radiant King, the Thunder Punishment King, the Divine Elephant King, the Peony King, and the four Sea Kings. Among these forces, the Thunder Punishment King is the strongest. In addition to the Thunder Punishment King himself, he also has the support of the Evil Punishment King, the Demon Buster King, the Longevity King, and 15 dukes. They intend to overthrow the empire and establish their own territory. The rest is us. As for the Divine Elephant King, he has the support of the 8-Pole King and the Tao Extermination King, the Peony King has the support of the Red Blood King, and the 4 Sea Kings are in cahoots with the Formation Breaking King. Rosy Cloud spoke slowly. Xing Hui listened on the side, nodding and asking questions from time to time. During this process, he finally had a full understanding of the Kunlong world in his mind. He was no longer as ignorant as before. Chapter 8:12. As expected of an ancient world with a long history. Just the number of world creation experts in the Kun Dragon Empire alone has reached a total of 132 people. In addition, there are dozens of experts who are related to the outside world and not directly under the Kun Dragon Empire. There were probably more than 200 world creation experts in the entire Kun Dragon world. Among these 200 or so peak world creation experts, nearly half of them were existences that could stabilize the world and were existences that traversal experts could not fight against. This lineup could not be said to be weak. For a world with such a profound foundation, the amount of treasures in the royal treasury can be imagined. It is at least equivalent to the entire wealth of a supreme being. If I can really help Princess Long Yu become the Empress, and then let her open the royal treasury, thinking of this, Xing Hui faintly felt a sense of urgency in his heart. Although he had invested a lot in Princess Long Yu a few years ago, what was certain was that as time passed, Princess Long Yu's knowledge would become wider and wider, and her dependence on him would gradually decrease under the influence of the Radiant King, Rosy Cloud King, Purple Jade King and the others. One day, she would even have the mentality of casually giving him a few treasures of acceptable value to send him off. In order to avoid this phenomenon, he had to slightly show his value and continue to increase his weight in her heart. Currently, Princess Long Yu's situation is not good. It seems that she has been taken away by the 4 Sea Kings. At this time, if I appear out of nowhere and rescue her from the 4 Sea Kings, it will certainly make my image greater. Xing Hui thought and vaguely made a decision. Although the 4 Sea Kings and the Formation Breaking King were kings, they did not rank very high among the 24 kings. The 4 Sea Kings were ranked 7th, and their strength was on par with the Evil Slayer King. They were probably slightly weaker than the Fire Blaze King. As for the formation-breaking king, he was only an ordinary king. His cultivation was on par with the duke-guarding duke who had stabilized his own world. He was ranked among the 24 kings partly because of his background and partly because he possessed a supreme god artifact. The supreme god artifact allowed him to easily destroy all seals and formations, which was how he obtained his title of formation-breaking king. The divine beast Kuanpeng is proficient in speed. A rank 18 divine beast Kuanpeng has a natural advantage in speed. If a rank 18 divine beast Kuanpeng is bent on escaping, only Supremes at the primal chaos realm could capture it. My body has reached rank 17, and I can transform into a rank 18 Kuanpeng. It might not be impossible for me to rescue Princess Longyu. Thinking up to there, Xinghui could not be bothered to stay in the Great Radiant Saint Hall any longer. Taking advantage of the absence of the Radiant King and the others, he used Shadowless, concealed his aura, and silently snuck out. Although there were still peak existences in the Great Radiant Saint Hall who could create a world with a thought, these peak existences were all worried and did not pay attention to the movements of the side hall where Xinghui was. This naturally gave him an opportunity. After leaving the Great Radiant Saint Hall, he quickly left on his sword. Under the situation where he did not cause spatial ripples, no one would pay attention to a rapidly leaving sword light. It's very simple. After leaving the Great Radiant Saint Hall on his sword, Xinghui quickly sensed Princess Longyu's aura. He had set up many methods on Princess Longyu. Although most of them had been removed, there were still some concealment techniques left behind. Relying on these traces, he quickly sensed Princess Longyu's location, and then began to break the void, rapidly shuttling in the direction of Princess Longyu. Although Princess Longyu was intercepted by the 4 Sea Kings, according to the location Xinghui sensed, she was not taken to the vassal state of the 4 Sea Kings. Instead, she was moving rapidly. Xinghui sensed a little. Princess Longyu's speed was extremely fast. Under normal circumstances, it would be difficult for him to catch up with her. Thinking up to here, he waved his hand and directly tore the void, stepping into the void. Then, with backtrack and pause as the foundation, he used transformation and transformed into a class 18 Kuanpeng on the spot. Sure enough. When my physique reaches class 17, it's not difficult to transform into a class 18 Kuanpeng. Moreover, I can actually last for 30 breaths without using the divine art. Sure enough, the difference of a single stage was like the difference between heaven and earth. After transforming into the Kuanpeng, his aura was clearly leaked, but in the next moment, he immediately used the supreme immortal art, Shadowless Stance, and for a time, his aura was completely concealed. However, the traces left behind by the Kuanpeng when flying with the help of the power of space could not be completely erased. If there was really a world with a thought expert who wanted to track his whereabouts, they could still track him. To solve this problem, he could only rely on reversing yin and yang to mix up these traces one by one. However, as there were only 30 breaths of time, it could barely be used to travel. Xinghui was too lazy to waste too much time. Maintaining the body of the Kuanpeng, he shuttled through the void at an unbelievable speed. During this time, he sensed a peak world with a thought expert from afar who had sensed the spatial ripples and had come to spy on him. However, when that peak world with a thought expert sensed that the spatial ripples were coming from a Kuanpeng, he immediately lost interest in continuing his investigation. After all, the Kuanpeng itself was not weak. Moreover, it was the most proficient in speed, making it the most difficult divine beast to deal with. Once a Kuanpeng became hostile, apart from those peak world with a thought experts who could expand their world to 30,000 kilometers, any world with a thought expert would feel an incomparable headache. It's just ahead. Relying on the Kuanpeng's astonishing speed, Xinghui finally caught up to the people who had captured Princess Longyu just as his body was about to be unable to bear the weight of the Kuanpeng. 2 world with a thought experts. Xinghui used Shadowless Stance and silently followed the group of people. This group of people was led by 2 world with a thought experts, and there were 30 transversal experts who were on guard. Their flying speed was also extremely fast, and it was unknown where they were going. The small worlds of the 2 boundary realm experts have already stabilized. One of them has already begun to expand. Although it has only expanded to 13,000 kilometers, it's already a little stronger than an ordinary boundary realm expert. If I'm not wrong, that person should be the formation-breaking king. Li Qingshan's eyes widened as he looked at Li Qingshan and said, the formation-breaking king. Xing Hui measured the difference in strength between the two parties. If he directly charged down, relying on the 49 Great Expansion Sword Qi, he could at most be on par with the other world creation realm expert who had stabilized his own world. If he wanted to directly rescue Princess Longyu from the hands of the two world creation realm experts, it would not be an easy task. In that case, he could only continue to rely on transforming into the Kunpeng to launch a surprise attack. Of course, if he transformed into the divine beast Golden Crow, he could even kill the two cultivators who had achieved world realm with a single thought. However, that would take some time. If he attracted the attention of the other cultivators who had achieved world realm with a single thought, things would become even worse. Using the Kunpeng to end the battle quickly was the best choice. Bang! After Xing Hui used the 1 Qi into 3 purities technique to create a jade clear doppelganger as an excuse, he used the chaos technique, divine technique, transformation technique, and other characteristics at the same time. His body suddenly expanded and directly turned into a terrifying creature with a wingspan of 10,000 meters. He then tore through the void and instantly descended on the Kun Dragon Great World. Almost at the same time that Xing Hui transformed into the Kun Dragon Great World, the formation-breaking king and the other unknown world with a thought expert had already sensed it. The two top experts immediately used their own world power. Who is it? This aura is filled with ferocity. Is it a holy beast or a divine beast? Just as they were preparing for battle, the space trembled, and a dark and terrifying cloud was projected from the void, covering the sky and the sun. In an instant, it tore apart the world's shadow formed by their world power and arrived brazenly. Kunpeng. An 18th level divine beast Kunpeng. Our Kun Dragon Great World actually has a divine beast Kunpeng of this level. The two world with a thought experts stared at the divine beast Kunpeng that brazenly barged into their world power and couldn't help but widen their eyes. However, Xing Hui didn't waste any time talking nonsense with these kings and dukes. He transformed into the divine beast Kunpeng with the intention of ending the battle quickly. Now that he had broken into the world's shadow formed by the two world with a thought experts, the first thing he did was to rush toward Princess Longyu who was contained in their world's shadow. The moment the world's shadow collided with his body, the world's shadow was already shattered into pieces by the space force he controlled. Not good. This divine beast's target is actually Princess Longyu. Stop him. World God, appear. The two world with a thought experts roared at the same time. Among them, a towering giant with a diameter of 100,000 meters stepped out from the world's shadow formed by the formation-breaking king. It carried a vast power that could split heaven and earth as it brazenly arrived. After locking onto the divine beast Kunpeng's world shadow, it threw out a punch. For a moment, the power of the entire world shadow seemed to be condensed in this one punch. If such a punch landed on a star, it would be enough to shatter a star with a diameter of over 10,000 kilometers. In front of such a terrifying giant, the divine beast Kunpeng with a wingspan of over 10,000 meters was actually as small as a baby. However, as Xing Hui spread his wings and soared, the feathers on his wings turned into the sharpest and most terrifying divine swords in the world, whizzing towards the towering giant. When the star-destroying strike of the towering giant collided with the sword wings, it was quickly ground into powder. The sword wings, which did not lose any momentum, shot at the towering giant like a storm, shattering the giant on the spot. Then, Xing Hui charged again. His wings stirred like a peerless divine sword that could tear apart the primal chaos, cutting the towering giant in half on the spot. The giant was cut in half, and the entire world shook violently. Endless power surged, and cracks appeared in some places, showing signs of collapse. Chapter 8:13. This Kunpeng, the formation-breaking king's face turned pale. After breaking through the formation-breaking king's world god projection, Xing Hui's Kunpeng avatar appeared above Princess Longyu. He used the 1 Qi into 3 purities art to transform into Xing Hui's appearance. He hurriedly said to Princess Longyu, who was panicking because of the sudden change in the outside world, "Miss Longyu, it's me. Let's go." Princess Longyu, who was panicking, looked at Xing Hui, who suddenly appeared on the Kunpeng's body. She couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. "Young Master Dongyang, let's go." Xing Hui's avatar grabbed Princess Longyu and pulled her into his embrace. He then hid in the Kunpeng's body. "Stop him. Don't let them escape." The formation-destroying king and the other world ascension expert roared out furiously. They quickly rushed towards the Kunpeng that Qing Su had transformed into. However, the battle prowess of the Kunpeng surpassed these two experts with a single thought. Coupled with the fact that Qing Su only wanted to leave right now, he used his talent for the laws of space that far exceeded human cultivators to tear through space easily. He charged out of the formation-destroying king's world seal and directly entered the space between the layers. Using the unique environment of the space between layers, he quickly flew towards the depths of space. The formation-breaking king and the other world creation realm expert wanted to give chase, but how could they catch up with the Kunpeng that was determined to leave? In just a moment, they couldn't even see the Kunpeng's shadow. Damn it, how could this be? Kunpeng. Where did this Kunpeng come from? Someone must be playing tricks in the dark. Quick, immediately inform the 4 Sea Kings and let them tell the Dragon Spring Merchant Guild that there's a problem with our cooperation. Not only do we have to inform the 4 Sea Kings and the Dragon Spring Merchant Guild, we also have to let the Thunder Punishment King and the others know about this. No matter what, if Princess Longyu wants to conquer the world, the most important thing is to obtain the support of the Azure Dragon Sovereign. And in order to obtain the support of the Azure Dragon Sovereign, they have to go to the Imperial Mausoleum mountain range. Therefore, as long as the Thunder Punishment King and the others properly seal off the Imperial Mausoleum mountain range, we still have hope. However, the Divine Beast Kunpeng's speed is extremely fast, and its comprehension of the laws of space is extremely profound. Although the Thunder Punishment King and the others were able to block the Imperial Mausoleum mountain range, they might not necessarily be able to block a Divine Beast Kunpeng. That may not be the case. The Imperial Mausoleum mountain range is where the Kun Dragon Empire's Imperial Mausoleum is located. Layers upon layers of formations have been set up there. Let alone 17 or 18th level formations, there may even be 1 or 2 19th level formations. A place like this is definitely not a place where an 18th level Divine Beast Kunpeng can easily barge in. The hearts of the two world-breaking realm experts sank. Princess Longyu being taken away was already a fact. At this moment, they could only think of a way to salvage the situation. The Divine Beast Kunpeng that Xing Hui had transformed into carried Princess Longyu along the way, traveling at lightning speed. This time, it was different from the previous time. In order to erase the information left behind along the way, he had to use the yin-yang reversal immortal technique almost every once in a while. Under such circumstances, there was absolutely no world-breaking realm expert that could successfully catch up to them. After a long time, Xing Hui's Kunpeng avatar paused and arrived on a flying artifact that was floating in the void. "We're here," Xing Hui said. At this moment, Yu Qing's avatar appeared on the flying artifact. With an outsider present, Princess Longyu, who had been lying in Xing Hui's embrace and felt extremely peaceful, couldn't help but blush. She quickly struggled out of Xing Hui's embrace and then bowed slightly to Yu Qing. "Mr. Yu Qing." Yu Qing nodded. With a wave of his hand, the Divine Beast Kunpeng seemed to be directly stored in his personal space. And when Princess Longyu's attention was attracted by Yu Qing's avatar, Xing Hui's main body had also completed the exchange between avatar and main body. He stood on the deck of the flying artifact. "Miss Longyu, are you alright? After receiving the news that you were intercepted by the 4 Sea Kings, I immediately begged Mr. Yu Qing to bring me to rescue you. Fortunately, I made it in time." After Xing Hui finished speaking, he pretended to be angry and said, "I originally thought that the Radiant King, Purple Jade King, and Rainbow King were all outstanding experts in the world-breaking realm. Miss Longyu, if you followed them, it would be enough to ensure your safety." I didn't expect them to be so weak and actually let Miss Longyu fall into the enemy's hands and fall into danger. I will never trust them again. After saying that, he looked at Princess Longyu and said with a serious face, the situation in the Kun Dragon Great World is too complicated and very dangerous. Miss Longyu, why don't we return to the True Sun Great World? Only by going to the True Sun Great World can I guarantee your safety. I am a Marquis of the Empire, and my future is limitless. Protecting you is not a problem. Princess Longyu seemed to feel Tsing Hui's full of concern. Her gaze softened, and a trace of sweetness appeared in her heart. She almost agreed to Tsing Hui's request, but after a long while, she finally remembered Tsing Hui's identity. Marquis of the Empire, the future successor of the Zichen family. Would such a great family allow their head to marry an ordinary woman in the future? When she thought of that, she finally shook her head and bit her red lips. Young Master Dongyang. Although I like the peaceful life in the True Sun Great World, I don't want to end up as a decorative vase. Therefore, I can't return to the True Sun Great World with you. At least, not now. Tsing Hui deliberately mentioned that he was a Marquis of the Empire and had a limitless future, not to increase his persuasiveness, but to lead Princess Longyu to think of the difference between their identities. He didn't want her to be hot-headed and agree to return to the True Sun Great World with him. That would be awkward. Fortunately, Princess Longyu's personality had a stronger side, and things developed quite smoothly. Thinking up to there, Qing Su pretended to be rather disappointed before nodding heavily in some relief. Miss Longyu, I respect your choice. Don't worry. Before, I felt like I didn't have enough power to protect you, which was why I allowed you to move with the Radiant King, Purple Jade King, Saixia King, and so on, who seemed rather powerful. Reality has proven me wrong. From today onwards, I will never let you leave my sight again. Even if you chase me away, I will never leave. Princess Longyu quickly stepped forward and covered Tsing Hui's mouth with her jade hands, stopping him from continuing. Young Master Dongyang, please don't say such words. Longyu promises you that unless you are tired of me and take the initiative to leave, I will never chase you away. You can stay by my side for as long as you want, even if, forever. When Tsing Hui heard this, he looked at Princess Longyu with excitement and held her hand. Miss Longyu, young Master Dongyang. Princess Longyu also gently raised her head to look at him, her eyes filled with tenderness. Miss Longyu, young Master Dongyang, ahem. Yuqing had to cough to show that he was still here and let them see the situation. However, in reality, Tsing Hui was about to be unable to continue acting. He felt goosebumps all over his body. This situation was too awkward. He had no choice but to let Yuqing's incarnation come to save the situation. Fortunately, Yuqing's incarnation was still very useful. After being disturbed by an outsider, Princess Longyu immediately took a few steps back in fright. Her pretty face was flushed red with shyness. Her right hand kept rolling up the corner of her skirt as if she didn't know how to stand. Alright, this isn't the time to talk. Let's return to the Kun Dragon Origin World first and then discuss what we should do next. Yuqing's incarnation said. Yes, we can't be considered completely safe right now. If the 4 Sea Kings still have some tracking technique and come after us, we'll be in trouble. Tsing Hui played along and nodded. At this time, Princess Longyu's mind was filled with shameful thoughts. She didn't have any autonomy at all and looked like she would do whatever Tsing Hui said. Immediately, the flying artifact entered the Kun Dragon Origin World again. Compared to a cultivator flying through the air, a flying magic tool was not only easier to use, but also much quieter. It was the best choice for traveling when there was nothing urgent. As the group entered the Kun Dragon Origin World and flew in the void for a while, Princess Longyu gradually recovered. Then, she seemed to have thought of something and curiously turned to Yuqing's incarnation. Mr. Yuqing, I remember that the divine beast Kun Peng you used was only at the 17th level. But the power displayed by the divine beast Kun Peng just now. It could easily tear apart the small world of the Formation King and the others. Its power shouldn't be inferior to the 18th level. How? Yuqing's incarnation had already thought of this excuse and said with a smile, "In fact, it's all thanks to you, Princess Longyu. Didn't you mention to the Radiant King that Dong Yang needs the profound wilderness qi? In fact, it's not only Dong Yang who needs the profound wilderness qi, but I also need it. After all, the profound wilderness qi is far more useful to sacred beasts and divine beasts than to humans." When Princess Longyu heard this, she suddenly thought of something and said, "You mean young Master Dong Yang passed the profound wilderness qi to you, and then you let your divine beast Kunpeng refine the profound wilderness qi. This allowed the divine beast Kunpeng to complete the transformation from the 17th level to the 18th level." That's right. My Kunpeng was originally at the peak of the 17th level, but with the help of the profound wilderness qi, it finally broke its own limit and advanced to the 18th level. However, it hasn't stabilized its realm yet, which is why I didn't let it out for a long time. When Princess Longyu heard this, she nodded in understanding. At this time, Yuqing's incarnation said again, "In fact, when Dong Yang met the Radiant King and the others, he suffered a big blow and thought that he was useless to you. This is also the reason why he was willing to let you, Rosy Cloud King, and Purple Jade King work together. In the depths of his heart, he hated himself for being powerless, so he gave all the profound wilderness qi you gave him to me because he knew that only when my divine beast Kunpeng broke through to the 18th level would he be able to help you a little." Facts have proven that he was right. When Princess Longyu heard that Xinghui had suffered such a great grievance in his heart, but he still thought of her with all his heart, she felt guilty and touched. She turned her gaze to him. Young Master Dong Yang, Xinghui only wanted to increase his status, but when he saw the sudden change in Princess Longyu's expression, his heart suddenly thumped. Were they going to call out to each other affectionately again? Chapter 8:14. With Yuqing's incarnation around, Princess Longyu didn't dare to be so impudent. At this moment, Xinghui was glad that he kept his identity as Yuqing's incarnation. "We have to discuss our next plan. Should we continue to look for the Radiant King or seek help from other kings?" Xinghui turned to Princess Longyu. "When you went to see the Heavenly Sword King, did you see him?" "No." Princess Longyu shook her head. Princess Longyu shook her head. "When we arrived at the Sky Sword Plateau, the Sky Sword Sovereign had already left. Even the people of the Sky Sword Plateau didn't know where he went. We waited there for a while before we were attacked by the experts led by the Demon Buster King and the Longevity King. We had no choice but to retreat temporarily. Later on, we were intercepted by the 4 Sea Kings. I was quickly taken away by the formation-breaking king until we met you, young Master Dong Yang." Yuqing's incarnation raised his head. He really wanted to show his existence. Incarnations also had human rights. It seems like the Heavenly Sword King's side won't work. According to my understanding, the Thunder Punishment King clearly wants to be independent. The 4 Sea Kings should have cooperated with other forces. The Radiant King, on the other hand, wants to be the most trustworthy minister. However, they have already become the target of public criticism. Everyone is watching them. That's the most dangerous place. Among the forces formed by the remaining kings, only the Divine Elephant King and the Peony King are left. The Divine Elephant King has the support of the 8 Extreme King and the Tao Extermination King, so his forces are stronger. The Peony King is with the Scarlet Blood King, so his forces are slightly weaker. However, these two parties don't have the ability to break through the Imperial Mausoleum mountain range and meet the Azure Dragon Sovereign. Moreover, their positions are still not completely confirmed. Xinghui analyzed for a while and finally realized that Princess Longyu's situation was actually very dangerous. This was a far cry from the image he had in his mind. He had imagined that the Kun Dragon Great World would immediately be recommended by the ruler of the Kun Dragon Great World to meet the Azure Dragon Sovereign. Then, under the Azure Dragon Sovereign's protection, she would wipe out all the other powers and smoothly ascend to the throne. I find it a little strange. Not everyone wants to be a rebel king and set up a separatist regime, right? After all, with the Azure Dragon Sovereign around, the risk of becoming a rebel king is too great. Logically speaking, most people should support you. Why would the 4 sea kings make a move on you? Xing Hui asked after pondering for a while. This. Princess Longyu was also a little confused. After a while, she seemed to have thought of something and suddenly said, it might be because of the royal treasury. Royal treasury? Yes. Princess Longyu nodded heavily and said, even the ruler of our Kun dragon world, the king of Kun ruins, can't guarantee that he can come back alive. In order to leave the inheritance for the future generations, the king of Kun dragon world, the founding emperor of our Kun dragon empire, the king of Kun ruins, left some extremely rich resources in the royal treasury. If someone can get those resources, they can even cultivate to the level of chaos and become a supreme being. If I'm not wrong, these people want to force me to open the royal treasury and take all the treasures for themselves. Resources that allow someone to cultivate to the primal chaos realm. When Xing Hui heard this, he couldn't help but understand. No wonder. In theory, apex existences at the world creation realm could live forever. But in reality, their lives were related to their world. If their injuries were too severe, they would be unable to maintain the stability of their world. At the moment when their world collapsed, there was still the possibility of them dying. But it was different for the primal chaos realm. At the primal chaos realm, the existence of the world was closely related to their corresponding great Daos. The world could be said to be strengthened and strengthened by the great Daos. The strength of the energy was endless and endless. That was the true meaning of having a lifespan as long as the heavens, immortality. It was precisely because of this that countless people pursued the primal chaos realm crazily. Not to mention, other than the lifespan of a primal chaos realm expert, their strength was as different as heaven and earth compared to a world creation realm expert. This point could be seen from the fact that the weakest primal chaos realm expert could have a world with a diameter of 100,000 kilometers. A world of 100,000 kilometers in size, and reinforced by the power of the Great Path, had become even sturdier. Any small world that could create a world with a single thought would be smashed into smithereens. In order to reach the primal chaos realm, these world creation realm experts were willing to take risks. It was completely reasonable. Then how can the royal treasury be opened? I heard from the Purple Jade King that there are 2 conditions to open the royal treasury. The first is to possess our royal bloodline, as well as the corresponding spiritual imprint of the royal bloodline. The second condition is to possess the power of the godly might king that guards the royal treasury. Only with the combined power of the 2 of us can the royal treasury be opened. Of course, this also requires the order of the current emperor. However, right now, our Kun Dragon Empire is without a leader, and we have yet to elect a new emperor, so this condition cannot be fulfilled no matter what. The godly might king. This world creation realm expert who guarded the royal family's treasury was an expert second only to the heavenly sword king. Opening the treasury requires the godly might king to act. Could it be that the godly might king has betrayed the royal family? Impossible. Princess Longyu shook her head. According to the Purple Jade King, anyone in our Kun Dragon Empire can betray the royal family, but the godly might king definitely won't. Because he has no reason or motive to betray the royal family, why? Xing Hui was puzzled. I don't know. After all, I've only been in the Kun Dragon world for a short period of time. Even though the Purple Jade King and the Rainbow King taught me many things, there are still some things that I can't understand in a short period of time. Princess Longyu was a little vexed. It seems that our hope lies in the royal treasury. Miss Longyu, if you can obtain the cultivation resources in the treasury and reach the primal chaos realm, even if you don't reach the primal chaos realm, as long as you can reach the pinnacle of world creation realm, all the problems we're facing now will be easily solved. Go to the royal treasury. That's right. Qing Su nodded heavily. That's our only hope of taking control of our own fate, of turning passivity into initiative. Do you know where the royal treasury is? I do, it's in the royal city. Princess Longyu glanced at Xing Hui. However, there are also many experts in the royal city, and there's also the godly might king. We might not be able to sneak in. The Godly Might King and the Heavenly Sword King once killed a rank 18 divine beast with a single sword, killed a rank 18 divine beast. Xing Hui was solemn when he heard that. Even though the Thunder Punishment King was slightly stronger than a rank 18 divine beast, there was a limit to his strength. It was possible for him to defeat or repel a rank 18 divine beast, but it was impossible for him to kill one. However, the Heavenly Sword King and the Godly Might King were actually able to kill a rank 18 divine beast. The nature of the matter was completely different. No matter what, let's give it a try first. As for how to enter the royal city, Xing Hui's gaze fell on the Jade Clear Incarnation. The Jade Clear Incarnation came out at the right time to make its presence known. Leave it to me. Sneaking into the royal city isn't a problem. You just need to tell me the location of the treasury. Alright. Princess Long Yu quickly told the Jade Clear Incarnation the location of the treasury. The Jade Clear Incarnation also pretended to put Princess Long Yu into Xing Hui's personal space. After doing all that, he kept the Jade Clear Incarnation and flew toward the royal city like a stream of light. The core of the Kun Dragon world was the Kun Dragon continent that spanned 30 million kilometers. Fortunately, the 4 Sea Kings and the others were heading toward the royal city. At this moment, they were less than 1,000,000 kilometers away from the royal city. Traveling at full speed, Xing Hui appeared outside the royal city that spanned more than 100,000 kilometers in less than an hour. The entire royal city was enveloped by a huge rank 19 formation. Although it wasn't the time for war preparations and the most powerful rank 19 formation wasn't fully activated, 3 rank 18 formations were activated. One was responsible for scouting, one was responsible for defense, and one was responsible for the energy circulation system in the royal city. As for the offensive formation, it wasn't activated. Xing Hui used the shadowless stance to restrain his aura to the level of the Golden Core realm. This level of cultivation was extremely common in the Kun Dragon Empire. In other words, those below the Divine Realm were considered ordinary in the Kun Dragon Empire. After all, even the soldiers guarding the surroundings of the Kun Dragon Empire were at least at the Divine Realm. The Imperial Guards stationed outside the Void Battleground were at the Shattering Void Realm. After all, if the enemy wanted to attack the Kun Dragon Empire, they would first attack the fortresses outside the Void Battleground. It was just like when 2 countries on Earth were at war. When the battle broke out, one side had to destroy the other's space-based weapons. Otherwise, one side would be forced to passively take a beating and be unable to retaliate. The Royal Treasury. Xing Hui silently entered the royal city and used the shadowless stance to weave through the city, approaching the royal treasury. However, the royal treasury was surrounded by layers of formations. Although Xing Hui had the shadowless stance immortal technique, it didn't mean that he could completely ignore the formations. Most of the time, he could only follow the guards into the formations when they were out. This way, his progress was naturally extremely slow. By the time he arrived at the plaza outside the royal treasury, it was already more than half a month later. The Godly Might King has actually enveloped the royal treasury with his entire world. Anyone who comes within 10 kilometers of the royal treasury will have stepped into his world, and he will definitely sense it. This is unsolvable. Xing Hui raised his head and scanned his surroundings. Formations, and 18th level formations at that. Although the offensive formations of the 18th level formations had yet to be activated, Xing Hui had reason to believe that once the Godly Might King was attacked, someone would definitely activate the formations. At that time, under the cover of the 18th level formations, even a supreme expert like the Heavenly Sword King who could create worlds with a single thought would definitely die. Luring the tiger away from the mountain won't be of any use. The Godly Might King's duty is to guard the royal treasury. No matter what happens in the outside world, he won't easily leave the vicinity of the royal treasury. Then, I can only rely on Princess Long Yu to persuade him with emotion and reason. If that doesn't work, it won't be too late to use my dangerous plan that might expose my primal chaos level. A sharp glint flashed across Xing Hui's eyes. The next moment, his figure flashed and directly entered the Godly Might King's small world, appearing outside the royal treasury that was half covered by his small world. Chapter 8:15. The moment Qing Su stepped into the range of the Godmite King's miniature world, a tremendous presence immediately surged over. It locked onto Qing Su with a pressure that weighed down like a mountain. Godmite King, please wait. Before that terrifying aura could transform into a destructive attack, Tsing Hui hurriedly called out, Godmite King, please show yourself. Whoosh! With a flash, the Godmite King appeared before Qing Su. However, his power of the world materialized at that moment. The dense power of the world rapidly contracted and condensed towards Qing Su, completely trapping him in his own world. Your identity, your goal. I am Dong Yang. Before I inform your majesty of my goal, please allow me to introduce someone to your majesty. After Tsing Hui finished speaking, Yu Qing's clone pretended to open his pocket dimension and Princess Long Yu walked out of it. The God-Might King's gaze swept over Princess Long Yu. As if sensing that she was connected to the Kun Dragon Empire's omnipresent power of providence, his expression changed slightly. However, it didn't last for more than half a breath's time before he returned to normal. I believe that Your Excellency God-Might King has already recognized her identity, right? She is currently the only successor of the imperial bloodline, Princess Long Yu. The God-Might King was silent for a moment. After a long while, he slowly said, What does this have to do with me? The God-Might King should have heard of the current situation in the Kun Dragon Great World. Even though the Radiant King, Rainbow King, Purple Jade King, and the others want to protect Princess Long Yu, there are even more people like the Thunder Punishment King and the Four Sea Kings who harbor evil intentions. Under such circumstances, the best way to ensure Princess Long Yu's safety is to give her enough power to protect herself. At this point, Qing Su looked at the expressionless Godly Might King. And if Princess Long Yu wants to have enough power to protect herself, the best way is undoubtedly to open the royal treasury and let Princess Long Yu obtain the inheritance left behind by the Lord of Kun Su. That way, she can become a peak expert at the single thought realm at the very least. Only then can she be considered safe and break through the Thunder Punishment King and the others' blockade of the royal mausoleum to meet the Azure Dragon Sovereign. She can then ask the Azure Dragon Sovereign to come out and sweep across the world and settle the situation. Open the Imperial Treasury, the God-Might King fell silent. Even though he spent most of his time in the Imperial capital guarding the treasury, that didn't mean he was ignorant of the outside world. On the contrary, he was quite knowledgeable about the outside world. At the very least, he wasn't inferior to the other factions. However, my duty is to guard the treasury. In order to open it, I need the Emperor's order. The Emperor's order. Currently, the Kun Dragon Empire's direct bloodline has all fallen, leaving only Princess Long Yu. She is the undisputed Empress of the Kun Dragon Empire. What order does she need? I don't know if there are any remnants of the Kun Dragon Empire's direct bloodline. I only know that the person sitting on the throne of the Kun Dragon Empire is not Princess Long Yu. If she really wants to open the treasury, after she obtains the recognition of all the kings and dukes to become the Empress of the Kun Dragon Empire, I will help her open the treasury and take out the treasures hidden within. Right now, the Kun Dragon Empire is like a group of dragons without a leader. They urgently need an empress to end the chaos in the Kun Dragon Empire. This person has to be Princess Long Yu. How can you not understand such a simple logic? As for Princess Long Yu becoming the Empress of the Kun Dragon Empire, do you think that the other kings and dukes will dare to oppose her order when she invites the Azure Dragon Sovereign to sweep through the situation? Then, let's wait until she invites the Azure Dragon Sovereign to become the Empress of the Kun Dragon Empire. At that time, if she gives me an order, I will definitely obey. As the God-Might King said this, he stared at Tsing Hui with a serious expression. Guarding the treasury is my duty. In any situation, this duty will be the most important thing in my life. Tsing Hui was speechless as he looked at the God-Might King, who seemed like he wouldn't open the treasury without the Emperor's order. He didn't expect the God-Might King to be so stubborn. However, thinking about it carefully, it made sense. After all, who could guarantee that the direct bloodline of the Kun Dragon Empire had really been wiped out? If that wasn't the case and the God Might King opened the treasury at this time, wouldn't the direct bloodline members of the Kun Dragon Empire have no hope? Alright, please go back. Without His Majesty's orders, no one is allowed to approach the royal treasury. The fact that I didn't attack you the moment you entered the royal treasury is already because I've already confirmed Her Highness's identity and gave Her Highness some face. The God Might King said coldly. Princess Long Yu was at her wit's end. She could only turn to Tsing Hui for help. Young Master Dongyang, what should we do now? Do you know the method to open the treasury? I do. There are 2 steps to opening the treasury. The first step is to find the door to the treasury. This step can only be done by the God Might King with his unique true chi. The second step requires the direct bloodline of the Kun Dragon Empire to verify it. Once the verification is passed, they will naturally be teleported to the treasury. Princess Long Yu paused for a moment before continuing. However, according to what I know, only the direct bloodline of the Kun Dragon Empire will be teleported to the treasury. Tsing Hui couldn't help but frown when he heard this. A moment later, he seemed to have thought of something. It seems we can only try the second plan. Second plan? Princess Long Yu was confused. What was the second plan? Qing Su did not answer him in detail. He went up and appeared beside the godly Might King in an instant, directly grabbing towards him. Humph. The godly Might King snorted gently. He could sense that the young man before him was at the level of the divine true body at most, while the man behind him gave off an unfathomable aura. He actually struggled to see through his opponent's cultivation. As a result, he only mobilized some of his power of the world slightly to suppress Qing Su's sneak attack. He focused most of his attention on Yu Qing's clone, guarding against any sudden attacks. However, it was this mentality that allowed Tsing Hui to break through the God Might King's minor world forces suppression. He directly enveloped the God Might King in his attack range. Then, without waiting for the God Might King's next attack, Tsing Hui activated his Chaos Art, Halting Art, Teleportation Art, and a series of other special abilities. And then, he directly brought the God Might King with him, teleporting them to a nameless mountain range that was tens of millions of miles away from the Imperial City. Sensing the changes in his surroundings, the God Might King's expression turned extremely ugly. He immediately growled, "You're courting death." In the next instant, he seemed to be going all out to kill Tsing Hui and then use his teleportation art to rush back to the Imperial City. Great Expansion Sword Chi, go! As the God Might King attacked, 49 sword chis shot out from Tsing Hui's body at the same time. They rampaged through the God Might King's minor world force, completely ignoring the God Might King's world force. Before the power of the world, the Great Expansion Sword Chi that Qing Su shot out was shattered violently. The tremendous power of the world directly crushed Qing Su's figure with unstoppable force. However, Tsing Hui didn't try to dodge. He looked like he was going to injure the God Might King even if it meant risking his life. If you think I'll go easy on you because of your relationship with Her Highness, then you're sorely mistaken. Those who covet the treasury, die. Rumble. Under the pressure of the world force, Tsing Hui's original body, who had no time to defend himself, was directly crushed to pieces by this majestic world force. It was like a vast and resplendent star had fallen and bombarded an insignificant mortal, instantly obliterating his fragile, divine true body. However, just as he was about to crush Tsing Hui, one of the 49 Great Expansion Sword Chis that Tsing Hui used all his strength without regard for his own life, stubbornly broke through the God Might King's world force and left a sword mark on his body. Unfortunately, this level of sword mark wasn't even qualified to affect the God Might King, let alone cause any serious damage to him. Under the effects of recovery, in less than a breath's time, the sword mark rapidly healed and returned to its original state. You overestimate yourself. The God Might King said indifferently. The image of the Imperial City's treasury appeared in his mind, and he was about to teleport back to the Imperial City's treasury. Wang! Wang! Just as the God Might King was about to teleport back to the Imperial City's treasury, Tsing Hui, who had been crushed into powder by the God Might King's world force, reformed once again, looking as good as new. This scene caused the God Might King's expression to change. Could it be the backtracking technique that can be derived from level 40 chaos? Other than the Lord of Kun ruins and a few Supremes, who else in our Kun Dragon Great World can raise the chaos level to level 40 and above? The God Might King was still confirming the validity of his guess when the chaos shrine in his senses suddenly became blurry. At this moment, it was as if he had been stripped of his identity as the Son of Chaos, completely reverting to his original form. All the characteristics of the Son of Chaos had disappeared without a trace. This, Wang. After using the freezing technique to freeze the God Might King's Son of Chaos power, Xing Hui immediately used the halting technique to restore the interval between the teleportation technique. Once again, he used the teleportation technique, and just like that, he disappeared from the God Might King's sight without a trace. Teleportation technique. How is this possible? He just used the teleportation technique. How can he use it again so quickly? Even if he raised the teleportation technique to level 10, it's impossible for him to use it without any restrictions. Damn it. The royal treasury is dangerous. The godly Might King instantly understood the severity of the situation. His first thought was to enter the Chaos Temple and contact the two Grand Dukes who were helping him guard the royal treasury. He wanted them to stop those who were eyeing the royal treasury. However, as he was used to using the Chaos Temple to communicate, the moment he tried to sense the Chaos Temple, he realized the Chaos Shrine's presence had long become blurry. He couldn't sense it at all, let alone contact the two Grand Dukes through the Chaos Shrine and order them to head over to the royal treasury to stop the intruders. Damn it! Sealing the Chaos level. Could it be that this child has a supreme treasure blessed by the Lord of Time or the Lord of Gods? Or perhaps, he is a chess piece sent by the Lord of Gods or the Lord of Time to sabotage our internal affairs. After cursing, the God Might King flew at full speed toward the royal capital that was over 20 million kilometers away. At this moment, he only hoped that he was fast enough to stop that mysterious person and Princess Longyu from eyeing the royal treasury. Chapter 8:16. Young Master Dongyang. Seeing Xing Hui suddenly disappear and reappear in front of the treasury, Princess Longyu hurriedly greeted him with a relieved expression. Alright, now is not the time to talk about this. Let's go and open the treasury immediately. The treasury has always been guarded by the godly Might King, so the others can rest easy. Now that the godly Might King has left, they will soon come to their senses. We should enter the treasury as soon as possible and take away everything inside. Xing Hui said. But how are we going to enter the treasury? If we want to enter the treasury, we need the cooperation of the God Might King and a direct descendant of the imperial family. But the God Might King isn't here right now. I have my own way of dealing with this matter. Xing Hui said. He didn't hesitate to exchange his life for an injury, leaving a sword mark on the God Might King's body with the 49 Great Derivation Sword Chi. His main goal was to obtain the God Might King's blood. As long as he got the God Might King's blood, he could use the transformation art to transform into the God Might King. Transforming into the God Might King, although he would not be able to obtain the God Might King's skills and techniques, nor would he possess the God Might King's memories, his psyche and true chi fluctuations would be identical to the God Might King's. Miss Longyu, I hope you can keep what I'm about to do a secret. Don't mention it to anyone. Seeing Xing Hui's cautious expression, Princess Longyu immediately nodded. Young Master Dongyang, don't worry. I know that everything you're doing now is for my own good. I won't mention anything that happened today to anyone other than the three of us. Alright. Xing Hui nodded. At this moment, he was also taking a considerable risk. Using the transformation technique in front of Princess Longyu would undoubtedly expose the fact that his primal chaos realm had reached level 50. If Princess Longyu really wanted to deal with him and take his primal chaos realm for herself, she only needed to ask the Azure Dragon Sovereign to take action. Relying on his teleportation technique's cooldown, it would be very difficult for him to keep his life. But, for the sake of the various precious resources in the royal family's treasury, for the sake of being able to stabilize the universe as soon as possible, and for the sake of completely resolving the crisis that Earth was facing, he had no choice but to make this choice. At the thought of this, under Princess Longyu's somewhat astonished gaze, Tsing Hui's figure instantly transformed. It didn't take long for him to completely take on the appearance of the God Might King. His aura, spirit, and even his appearance were exactly the same. There was no difference at all between him and the real God Might King. The only problem was, when he transformed into the godly Might King, he could clearly feel the terrifying burden placed on his body by this small virtual world. This burden was even greater than when he transformed into the Kunpeng. This. Young Master Dongyang, you, Princess Longyu, now is not the time to explain. I can't maintain it for long. Let's enter the royal treasury as soon as possible. Tsing Hui, who had transformed into the godly Might King, exclaimed in a low voice. He quickly brought Princess Longyu to the entrance of the royal treasury. After focusing his gaze on the array at the entrance of the royal treasury, he quickly injected his true energy into the array. Due to the transformation technique, even his true energy fluctuation became the same as the godly Might King's. The array at the entrance of the royal treasury was quickly activated by him. Princess Longyu immediately stepped forward and dripped a drop of her blood into the array. When the blood entered the array radiated light in all directions. Rings of spatial fluctuations that could be seen with the naked eye immediately spread out in all directions with Princess Longyu as the center. Under the influence of the spatial fluctuations, the 4 experts who were originally overseeing the godly Might King in the royal treasury were startled awake at the same time. Waves of powerful aura mixed with world energy surged over, accompanied by waves of suppressed anger. The royal treasury was actually opened by someone. Godly Might King, what are you trying to do? Right now, the throne is still undecided. How can you open the royal treasury without permission? Godly Might King, this is dereliction of duty. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the contract when the time comes? Amidst the furious roars, boundless world energy surged over, instantly sealing the space within a radius of several hundred kilometers with the royal treasury as the center. However, although the world energy could seal the surrounding space, it could not seal the activated array of the royal treasury. Accompanied by a burst of intense light, Princess Longyu, who was originally in the midst of spatial fluctuations, instantly disappeared. She was sucked into the tightly shut door of the royal treasury. Almost at the same time as Princess Longyu was sucked into the royal treasury, Tsing Hui had long since marked the dimensional lock on Princess Longyu's body activated. In order to ensure the dimensional lock's normal operation, he specially added the primal chaos technique to the dimensional lock, temporarily raising its level to the 7th level. The power of the 7th level dimensional lock instantly broke through the barrier of the royal treasury, allowing him to follow closely behind Princess Longyu and enter the teleportation array. As the surrounding space became blurry and distorted, the two of them appeared in an incomparably huge mountain peak. There were a total of over 1,000 mountain peaks, and according to the height and size of each mountain peak, the small ones were less than a kilometer in height, while the large ones were more than 10 kilometers or even dozens of kilometers. Thousands of mountains filled the world. At the end of the world, there was a gray haze. At the end of the gray haze, there was a 7-colored rainbow that descended from the depths of the chaos. It seeped into the world and stabilized it. It did not show any signs of collapse. That rainbow light is the Great Tao, the power of the Great Tao. Tsing Hui's gaze focused on the rainbow light for a moment, and he couldn't help but take a deep breath. This is the world of a primal chaos realm's sovereign. Young Master Dongyang, you, how did you come in? When Princess Longyu saw Qing Su, her expression was filled with surprise. I have my own way. Tsing Hui said, there's no time to lose. Let's see what's in these mountains. Princess Longyu glanced at Tsing Hui with a strange look in her eyes, but after a moment, she nodded. All right, let's go check it out. As she spoke, she raised her head slightly and looked towards the center of this small world with a diameter of over 10,000 kilometers. There was a huge mountain peak with a diameter of dozens of kilometers and a height of over 100,000 meters. It was the tallest of all the mountains. She calmed her heart and sensed there, faintly sensing the aura of a bloodline calling out to her. Young Master Dongyang, over there. I'll take you there right away. Xing Hui said and brought Princess Longyu to the mountain peak at the center of the small world. Although he couldn't tear space to fly in this small world, he could still cross over 1,000 kilometers by relying on his understanding of the laws and the various mysteries of Light Chaser. It didn't take long for the two to arrive outside the mountain peak. There was clearly more than a single formation on the mountain. Apart from a few defensive formations, most of the formations were only used to ensure the quality of some of the resources inside. As a result, Qing Su could clearly see the streaks of light that filled the interior of the mountain. The luster of treasures rushed into the stars. If it were not for the formation's concealment, the aura probably would have filled the surroundings and illuminated the entire miniature world. When Princess Longyu arrived outside the mountain peak, the array on the mountain peak seemed to have a strange reaction with her bloodline power. A stream of light directly entered her body. Miss Longyu, are you all right? Xing Hui hurriedly asked when he saw this scene. I'm fine, Princess Longyu replied as she digested the information. A moment later, she bit her lips with a complicated expression. This mountain peak was indeed left behind by the founding emperor of the Kun Dragon Empire, the Lord of Kun Ruins. Not only are there cultivation resources that can allow one to quickly cultivate from the immortal realm to the saint realm, but it also records a special technique that can refine this small world and make it my personal small world. Moreover, this small world doesn't only belong to a sovereign. Back then, the Lord of Kun Ruins killed 9 chaotic divine beasts and used their power to set up the 9-9 Boundless Tao Attraction Array. This array can last for 9,000 years and its effect is to allow this small world to have the stability and recovery speed of a primal chaos sovereign. Xing Hui immediately understood what Princess Longyu meant. You're saying, although this small world is only 10,000 kilometers wide, its stability and sturdiness are comparable to the small worlds of primal chaos overlords? Princess Longyu nodded. Hiss. After receiving Princess Longyu's approval, even though Qing Su was mentally prepared, he could not help but take a deep breath in admiration of the Sovereign Realm expert's generosity. 9 primal chaos divine beasts. One had to know that divine beasts in the chaotic realm were equivalent to the Great Tao incarnation. Compared to human primal chaos overlords, their advantage was not inferior to the divine true body realm or the unhindered realm. The combat power of a divine beast in the chaotic realm was definitely comparable to 10 primal chaos overlords. However, the master of Kun Su had killed 9 of such powerful divine beasts in the chaotic realm in order to set up such a formation for his descendants so that when his descendants were in danger, they could use the power of the world to rise quickly. After all, even if it was just a small world with a diameter of 10,000 kilometers, it was not any weaker than a primal chaos realm giant in terms of stability. Its combat power would most likely far surpass all experts at the One Thought World realm. After Princess Longyu refined and grasped this small world, her combat power would most likely rise to a level that even Heavenly Sword King could not resist. Young Master Dongyang, I'll need 3 to 4 years to refine this small world. During this time, you can use anything in this small world as you wish. You can take anything that's useful to you. After saying that, Princess Longyu seemed to have had enough of this weak and precarious life. With a leap, she stepped into the mountain with a diameter of 100 kilometers. 3 to 4 years. Xing Hui was slightly taken aback. If he really waited for 3 to 4 years, wouldn't he miss the 16-year deadline to return to Earth? Thinking of this, Xing Hui hurriedly shouted, "Young Mistress Longyu, wait a moment." However, at this moment, Princess Longyu had already entered the mountain peak. Outside the mountain peak, there was a defensive formation. Although this defensive formation was only at the 17th level, it was embedded in the miniature world and had an endless supply of energy. Unless he could destroy this formation in one breath, it was impossible to forcefully open the formation. Xing Hui looked at Princess Longyu, who couldn't wait to refine the small world, and took a deep breath. At this moment, he had a vague feeling that, this Princess Longyu before him didn't seem to be as naive and pure as he had imagined. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.